Yo, 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 yo. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'll show you. Yo, 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 guys. It's the kid, 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 it's the kid. Well, we're back in here, back in here, back in the game, 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 man. This is gonna be a good show, guys. We have a real good show for you here, guys, man. Just give you a little brief run on what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Bundesliga, have a little bit of a retread of what is going down in ILL Bundesliga, specifically focusing on Bayern Dortmund, because if you don't know, Tuesday is Bayern against Dortmund. So thoughts on how they've done. I'm looking ahead to that. La Liga is back June 8th. Huge focus on that. That's going to be a big focus on this discussion with regards to Real Madrid, Barcelona. Where are they? Is it too early that they're returning back? And just what does this really mean for the rest of football that La Liga has set a date specific of June 8th to say what's up? And we will then also be looking at Kante. Switching our attention to the Premier League. Kante may not play for Chelsea for the rest of the Premier League season because of his own health fears and so forth, but Chelsea are still going forth. Is this maybe a slippery slope? And will we see many other instances of players like Kante not wanting to take part for Chelsea? And how much will Chelsea miss Kante in their team? And we will then, this was a topic that was suggested from yesterday's stream on Friday. We're going to talk about the Spain's golden generation. How dominant were they? Were they really that dominant, or were people just trash and so forth? Were they really that good? Really, really, really? Did they dope? Easy, relax, chill. So, without further ado, let's start off first with Dortmund and Bayern. So, thankfully, Dortmund didn't flop. And we now go into Tuesday, it being a 4-point swing between Dortmund and Bayern Munich. I think that is great. That is beautiful. And I believe that is what the fans, that is what the streets, that is what the people want to see. Is we want to see we pretty much want to just see a really, really good title race. Bayern are going to win the title. So, I mean, I don't know what you guys are saying. Bayern are winning that title, but at least make it interesting. That's what I ask for. All I ask is that please, Louise, make it interesting. Make it at least enticing for people watching at home. So I'm going to come first to, of course, I believe our Bayern man, Mr. Sanmaya. So, Mr. Sanmaya, what are your views on Bayern's 2 games before we look ahead onto Tuesday? So, based on Bayern's 2 games, how do you assess the team? Do you feel that this against Frankfurt, they're now playing at their very best, or do you think that Bayern can still go up a high level? How do you assess where Bayern are right now before we look at Dortmund, Sanmaya?
Yeah, I think Bayern, these 2 games, they haven't been at their very best yet. They're slowly getting back to their very best. The first game, it was against Union Berlin. They were like, they were up. They were just decent. They, but today's game against Frankfurt, it was a lot better. Like the offense was clicking. Thomas Muller was amazing at the cam position, and our wingers were playing really well. But one thing that kind of worries me from these 2 games have been our defense. Our defense have been leaking goals, and our defense have been quite shaky at times. And today you can see it, like when we were 3-0 up, and then those two goals by Frankfurt, that was just terrible defending. I know it was set pieces, but still, the concentration, the complacency, like against a big game like Dortmund, those mistakes can be very costly. So the defense have been quite worrying, but I think in a big game like Dortmund, they're gonna brush up their mistakes and play their A game, I hope.
So, do you still feel there's hope for Kingsley Coman, or do you think like he should be sold? Like there is much you can do with him, or do you still have faith in him?
Oh, definitely not sell him. Like he's still 23. So like even if Kingsley Coleman won't be able to be like, let's say, like a 2-2 winger. Let's say he doesn't. He's still a really good backup option to have. Like there's not gonna be many backups today that will that can do what Kingsley Coleman do. Like you can think of many wingers. They're not gonna want to sit on the bench at Bayern. Let's say if we get Sane and Gnabry, they're probably not gonna start over Gnabry or Sane. So like having a player like Kingsley Coleman like as a super sub, I think it's very useful. And one thing about Kingsley Coleman is he brings a new dimension to Bayern's way of playing. Like he's actually a winger. He's not like an inside forward like Serge Gnabry. He
Mm.
can okay, his crossing isn't that great, but his dribbling is amazing. His he can attract defenders. Like normally when Kingsley Coman's on the ball, he will attract like 2, 3 defenders. They were gonna try to mark him, and so this way he actually gives space to can provide space to Muller and Lewandowski. And today he did have an assist, and he had 6 key passes today. So I'm starting to see like a slight improvement to what I've seen Coleman of from the start of the season. I think he's
Okay.
showing improvements.
So, okay, so just lastly then, so what do you make of Dortmund's performances, and what is your feeling going into Tuesday?
I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Dortmund's players like Axel Witsel and Jadon Sancho will be 100% fit by Tuesday
Mm.
because Jadon Sancho has been super solid. I'm not sure if he can play like 90 minutes. And Witsel, he hasn't played uh, at all when the season resumed. So I'm not sure. But let's say they both of them play. They're gonna be key players for them. So I think it's gonna be a very close game. Probably I won't be surprised if it's a draw. So maybe something like 2-1 Bayern or 2-2 Bayern because it really depends if Jadon Sancho will be fully fit and they don't have Marco Royce. So I think, yeah, Axel Witsel and Sancho, if they are fully fit, I think they can do some damages and probably make it a draw.
So, okay, give me a scoreline for Tuesday then.
Okay, 2-1 Bayern Munich.
Okay. So Jamal, thoughts on Dortmund and Bayern so far, how you think both teams have played, how they have looked in the two games, and what do you think will happen on Tuesday when they both meet?
Yeah, firstly, I like to start off with Bayern. Yeah, I find Bayern are looking way off the pace. People say Bayern play a little better today. Nah, it's just Eintracht Frankfurt was more trash than them. Bayern just winning right now. They're just doing enough to win. Dortmund on the other hand, I think Dortmund is playing very good. Better passing, better movements. So I feel going into Tuesday game, I feel it will be goals. I feel it will be plenty goals. So I might go with a 3-3 draw
What?
between Bayern 3-3.
Wow. No, no,
Yeah,
no,
I
no,
see.
no. I heard you. 3-3?
Yeah. I just seeing goals because Bayern defense is looking very leaky and you could never trust Dortmund. So I feel it will be goals 3-3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Samuel Ogunde, man, what are you saying? So give us your assessment on Dortmund and Bayern, and what do you think happens when they both meet on Tuesday?
First of all, I would like to say I hope everyone's doing well in this pandemic. I hope everyone's staying safe.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Good words.
uh, Borussia Dortmund and Bayern, really and truly, the past two games, it's been like routine wins.
Hmm.
Really and truly, even I was watching Borussia Dortmund's first game back, and
Schalke are
it
trash.
just
Schalke are
seemed,
trash. Schalke are trash. They're trash. They're trash. Schalke are trash. But
yeah, it
continue.
was just routine. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just like I've heard this story all before. Borussia Dortmund can win the league. Borussia Dortmund have a chance, and then they face Bayern Munich, they crumble. Like I'm getting tired of it. So really and truly, I have no hope for Borussia Dortmund because really and truly, I've watched the defense, and it's not really that good. And I know Bayern Munich can open that up very easily. They really, Their attack is very good. Their attack on the day can beat any team. However, would their attack show up against Bayern Munich when they usually crumble? We'll have to see. But my score prediction, I'll say 3-2 Bayern Munich.
3 to Bayern Munich. Okay.
Yeah.
So is your money still on Bayern to win the title? Do you think Dortmund have a chance of winning the title?
Listen, I like Dortmund a lot, but I've just seen this way too many times. I just think Bayern Munich will win it.
Okay. All right.
They'll get their 8 in a row, is it?
Yep, 8 in a row. That's right. 8 in a row, and you are going for nine in a row this season. So club
That's a
football
joke.
is progressing. Easy show. Wasim, thoughts on Dortmund and Bayern, and what do you think the score will be on Tuesday, Mr. Wasim?
Yeah, so I think that it's actually going to be a very good game. Both teams are in very good form. If Dortmund wins this game, so right now they're 4 points behind Bayern Munich. If they win this game, they'll be 1 point behind. And that'll make the title race very interesting. I still think Bayern are the favorites, and they're probably still going to win the league. But the fact that Dortmund could be 1 point behind them coming into the end of the season will make it very interesting. Now, remember that Dortmund are at home for this game, so they will have that advantage, and they usually win this fixture. I predict it's going to be a tight game. We're going to be able to see Davies and Hakimi facing each other on that right-hand side, so that's going to be very interesting. Two of the best fullbacks in the world right now. Great pace, so that's going to be an interesting battle. Dortmund will be missing Witsel and Royce, so that's going to be a big concern because Witsel is very important for them in that midfield. Royce as well. He's their captain and one of their best forwards, so we're going to see how that affects them.
They've been doing all right without Royce. I'm one of the biggest fans of Royce, but they've been doing pretty well without Royce. But I do agree that. But remember, this isn't peak Royce, though. This is not peak Royce, and I think you're going to give some credit to Brandt's Lil Bro, aka Torgan Hazard, and what Haaland and Hakimi have been doing without Royce.
Yeah, so we're going to see. I mean, they have been playing well without those players. I mean, both their games so far without even conceding a goal. Now, Hummels did limp out of today's game. He was subbed off at halftime, I think. So I'm not sure if he'll be fit. But we'll see what happens. Then, yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to predict, but I'm going to say maybe 2-1 or 2-1 Dortmund.
2-1 Dortmund?
Yeah. Because I think they have that slight advantage being at home, and they have been in good form. So it'll be close because Bayern is a good team, but I think 2-1 Dortmund.
Okay. All right. Red Tommy, speak on it. Dortmund and Bayern, and what do you think will happen on Tuesday?
Yo, everyone all right?
Yep. All here.
Good. Yeah, well, I watched both games today, and I think Bayern progressed quite a lot from the first game that I watched. The tempo were much higher today. I think they were playing a lot faster football, and it were a lot better to watch. Dortmund, I don't know. I don't think Dortmund played too good today, to be honest. Like the first game, they played better, but I think Schalke were just terrible in that first game. They're so bad. Like they were just running rings around them. But for the score for Bayern Dortmund, I would say that I think Bayern will just have too much for them. I think it'll probably be, I say 3-1 Bayern.
3-1 Bayern.
Yeah, I think Dortmund could score, but I don't see them scoring more than 2 goals, and I think Bayern will just overrun them.
Okay. Interesting, man. Elite's opinions, man. Thoughts on this?
Can you hear me, right?
Yep, can hear you. Go for it.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm seeing some of these comments. It's funny how there's still people that have convinced themselves Dortmund can even touch Bayern. Honestly, if they're playing a home or away, I struggle to see Dortmund creating more than 3 chances. I'll be real. I think this could be a lubrication at best.
So why don't you give Dortmund any hope based on them picking 2 wins out of 2? Why don't you have any hope whatsoever for Dortmund maybe playing on their home ground, their home turf?
There's no home advantage though. There's no fans, and even if they had fans, they've held multiple slappings at home against Bayern themselves. So it's not like they really had any home advantage to begin with. I think now it's just I fear for Dortmund. I'm not gonna lie. I think this could be a brutal scoreline.
And so are these two games haven't, and because I don't believe Haaland has played against Bayern. So you don't think the introduction of Haaland, who sometimes he can be good, sometimes he can look like a clown on the ball. You don't think Haaland can maybe somehow offer a surprising element in the game?
What? He's a tapping merchant. What element are you talking about? Oh, he doesn't do anything on the pitch. What does he do different than? I'll be honest with you. He does nothing.
Look. People said he's the new R9.
Yeah.
People on Twitter said he's the new R9. Okay, that's what I heard.
I saw a lot of nonsense. To me, he's just a white version of Bafétimbi Gomez. If I'm being honest, just moves his legs about a bit. He just there on the end of the box to just finish off chances. You know, I saw the game against Schalke, and then I saw this one here against Wolfsburg. I don't think I saw, maybe I can count on one finger the amount of times I saw him outside the box touch the ball. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're struggling to get into the game against Wolfsburg, what makes you think you even got a chance against Bayern? Don't even talk about Haaland for a second. I think the only person that probably saved him is probably Brandt and Royce if he was playing, but it's looking bad. It's looking bad, to be honest.
Okay. LB, thoughts on Bayern and Dortmund so far, and what do you think will happen on Tuesday?
Thoughts on Bayern and Dortmund separately on the two games in which they played this morning. I think Bayern really showed why they're one of the best sides in Europe and how good they were really going even before this pandemic. So what they were able to do was really just continue their form. As for Dortmund, the loss didn't really surprise me. Obviously, they're playing against a quality Bundesliga side. As for this Tuesday, if I'm correct, I would say that Bayern are going to win 2-1. As the previous person was saying, there's going to be no home crowd advantage on this occasion. Lewandowski, Davies, all these players that were in really good form prior to the pandemic are going to be really important. As for this morning,
what if they start Sancho? What if they start your boy Jad, aka Sancho? You don't think Sancho with the big man Erling Haaland can maybe offer something different against Bayern, or you still think Bayern will have too much for them?
I think Bayern will have too much for them. Look, it's always a possibility. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but I think Bayern should be able to cover those two players, those two quality players. And as for this morning, I think it was also good to see Perisic as well, someone who has sort of gone missing over the last few months. So, yeah, as for Tuesday, I think Bayern should win. Yeah.
Okay. So, what score are you going with?
I think I said 2-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Stodge.
Yeah. Well, I thought of both teams. Yeah, I was watching Dortmund earlier, and then I watched a bit of Bayern. With Dortmund, they won both matches, but they haven't really impressed me that much. Especially today, I felt Wolfsburg, attacking-wise, they had no quality.
Oh, easy. Wait, Stodge. Are you in a bunker or something? I don't know whether we're still in World War II, 1942, but your mic sounds like if you're in a bunker. So I don't know whether you need to make your mic a bit clearer. But go on, hit it.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, as I was saying, Dortmund didn't impress me at all. Yeah, I mean, they were okay, but Wolfsburg, attacking-wise, they weren't any good. And like I said about Haaland, I think last week I told you guys that this guy he hasn't got much ability, and it was proven today. He could do nothing. And the funny thing is, I think last week I said anytime he has to run with the ball, he trips over his own feet. And just like in the 86th minute, Sancho plays the guy in, and he trips over his own feet, and the ball goes out for a goal kick. I mean, this dude's a clown. And as for Bayern, I was impressed. I watched the second half. They're passing the ball quickly. You know, that Alphonso Davies, he's going to absolutely destroy Hakimi. He's 10 times the player Hakimi is.
Yes,
Hakimi
yes.
Yes.
Hakimi is a defensive fraud. I mean, you guys call Trent a fraud. Listen, Trent can play in a back four. This guy is so bad defensively. They had to change the team to a back
Look
four.
at
He
what he
cannot
does
play in a back
attacking
four.
wise. Look what he does attacking wise.
No, no.
scored.
I'm telling you, wait, just like you were telling us about that Chelsea dude that can't defend. What's his? I forgot his name. Is irrelevant player. This
Mark
Chelsea right
Salanga.
back. No, Chelsea right back. Reece
Reece James.
Yeah.
Exactly, that guy. Just he was telling us. Hatred was telling us he was good as well. Just like Alfonso absolutely destroyed him. I expect nothing less is going to happen. I expect the same thing to happen to Hakimi. Hakimi will get torn a new a-hole, and the Bayern. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to try and be nice to Dortmund when I make my prediction.
Give us a score, man.
5-1 Bayern.
Ooh, wow.
Okay, look. Storage, why? Why no?
Bro,
Why are you giving me that score and why? For what reason?
If Wolfsburg today, if they had any competent players, if they had players that their forwards had any type of ability, this would have been a draw or even a win for Wolfsburg. These guys, they're no good. Defensively, they're dodgy. Attacking wise, and this is the thing. The thing with the problem I have with Dortmund is I have a list. I don't really look at forwards that score tap-ins. I look at shot creation. That's the list I go on. So I go on my list. I look at players who can create shots for themselves. The only player they had that could create a shot for himself was Royce. He's not in the team anymore. All the other players, majority of them, apart from Sancho, who I can guarantee is not going to start. Sancho started to be a different story, but I don't think he's going to start. These other guys, they can't create anything for themselves. So you're left with Haaland. He's going to look like a lost boy. You know, he's going to get shut down. And then all you have is the B-Tech Hazard and Brands. That's it.
Brands has been all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're sticking with 5-1 on Tuesday.
Actually, 5-1.
Wait. Okay, Stoch, you realize that if Bayern win 5-1, you realize that what that makes the Bundesliga look like. You do realize that, don't you?
Hey, Chase, have you been watching the Bundesliga for the last 8 years? I mean, this is nothing new.
Okay, fine.
Hey, Jake.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. You're saying that this is not peak Royce. What year would you say Marco Royce peaked?
His peak was
2013?
No. Basically, it was during. I think it was the time when it was when he before Euro 2016, where he got injured before that Euro 2016. So I think that's 2015, 2016 thing where I was like, oh wow, man, imagine him. Because I believe if he was in that German team, that would have been much better. So I think it was when he got injured before 2016. That I think was his peak. He was the best player in his position then in terms of an attacking midfielder, was the best player in his position then.
He wasn't even part of the World Cup winning side in 2014 as well.
Nope. Injured again. So Red Devil, speak on it.
Can everyone hear me, by the way?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I was having some computer issues. So I like what a few people said. I watched the Dortmund game in full, and I'd watched the Bayern game in parts. And I'd echo what some people said, like, although Dortmund didn't concede a goal, to be honest, for quite a big chunk of the game, Wolfsburg were actually quite dominant. And it was a bit disconcerting to see that when Matt Hummels, who I've said multiple times has been a bit of a brick, as soon as he left, and Emre Can, who I think played in defence, who, if anyone's seen Emre Can's performance at Juventus, more importantly at Liverpool, Emre Can is not a defender. He's not even a CDM. He's more like a Henderson in terms of going forward. So as soon as he started playing, it was like, Dortmund effectively became like Newcastle United and put how many men behind the ball. I can probably count the amount of chances that they had in terms of on target up until about the 70th minute when Sancho came on. There was probably maybe one at best, possibly zero. It was bad. Wolfsburg really, had they had any quality, probably could have, dealt Dortmund a blow. But obviously Sancho came on and helped deal with things. As for the Bayern game, a bit concerned they conceded 2 goals. But were Bayern really in any danger of losing the game? They could easily turn on. I don't think so. Regarding the Dortmund Bayern game coming up, I think it really is going to depend. I think, as Studges even mentioned, on whether they will start Jadon Sancho. I think Jürgen Hazard has not been great, to be honest, in the 2 games I've seen him. I don't.
Wait. Actually, no. Red Devils. Pause it.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you just tell me what is this new trend I'm seeing online and on Twitter of Jürgen Hazard being in the same stratosphere as Zad? I don't know because again, like I don't. I thought it was using in 2019, but why is this like a new trend? Like, I'm lost.
I think they just share the same surname, don't they? Like I just don't. I would even start the American kid. Was it Rayner? Yeah. I actually thought that. In fact, in the first game, that was the plan, wasn't it? It was going to be Rayner, and instead of Jürgen Hazard, and then he drops Rayner and then starts Jürgen Hazard, and Jürgen Hazard has started since. Personally, I would start the Rayner kid because I feel the Rayner kid has much more talent. I'm not saying he's amazing, but I feel like he has much more talent than Jürgen Hazard does.
He looks right. Yeah.
So I don't really get why. If I was the Dortmund coach, I would say you got to start Sancho, you got to start Rayner, you got to start both of those players, and you got to drop Jürgen Hazard, and obviously hopefully Julian Brandt is fit. What I would say though is even if Dortmund do beat Bayern Munich, to be honest, when I look at the fixtures that both Dortmund and Bayern have, if Bayern can beat, they've got Leverkusen away and Gladbach at home, back to back. If they beat those 2 teams, I think Bayern have got the title anyway. Because Dortmund in the last 2 games have to face Leipzig and Hoffenheim, and I just can't trust that Dortmund will go from now to the end of the season winning.
No, but like if Bayern win, that's 7 points. I think it's a wrap.
Yeah. Okay. If Bayern win, it's over. But even if Dortmund beat Bayern on Tuesday, I don't necessarily think that guarantees me the title because I feel that if Bayern Munich will beats Leverkusen and Gladbach back to back, I just don't trust. Dortmund might win on Tuesday, but I still think they look like a team that could easily drop points from a Hoffenheim, from a Leipzig, from any one of those teams, and just let Bayern get back into the title race, which is basically the story of this season. Dortmund being ahead and Dortmund losing cheap points and letting Bayern back into the title race. So, yeah.
So let me just take a few comments from this whole thing. How good is Pulisic really? Well, he better be damn good because Chelsea will be needing him very soon. So obviously this guy talking is tier 1, you're smoking crack. Tier 1 in terms of humor and everything. Can the real Hazard play stand up? June 8th, which we'll be getting to in the next topic. So June 8th is when everything will be happening. Sancho should start at all because he has to start. But the key thing is that he has to be fully fit. I think he hasn't started because he's not yet been fully fit. But if he's fully fit, I do see him starting for sure. So we're going to now ride over to this right now. June 8th. So June 12th was the proposed date that La Liga was supposed to come back. But now it has not been confirmed by the Spanish Prime Minister. That's June 8th. La Liga has been given the green light to return. That's in 2 weeks. That is in 2 weeks' time. So, couple of things. So, this is going to be a 2-parter question. First question is do you think it's too early for La Liga to come back, and do you think Spain will be as prepared as Germany have been in terms of returning? And the second thing is, who do you think will come in with the better advantage, Real Madrid or Barcelona? So from my point of view, I am still a bit skeptical about that June 8th date. I'm still slightly skeptical about that June 8th date. But Spain, they just have to pretty much ensure that it is the safest option. And for me, I think this will benefit Real Madrid more than Barcelona. Barcelona are just getting back Cannibal. Really, that's the main guy that they're getting back. Real Madrid are getting back Zad, and I believe they're getting back Asensio as well. And I think that they were a bit out of form and everything, and they probably needed a month or two just to refresh themselves and to re-energize themselves. But they're getting back 2 great players in Zad and Asensio. Barcelona are getting back a Cannibal who is already washed. But I've already said that I still believe that if this La Liga will go through, my money is still on Barcelona to win La Liga because I don't trust Real Madrid. So, Jamal, Do you think it is too early for La Liga to return? And who do you think this lockdown will have benefited the most? Who do you think will come back stronger, Real or Barcelona?
Yeah. So the first question is if I think it's too early.
Mm.
No, but it the government said June 8th, but I don't think games come back on June 8th because that will be Monday. I think it will be that week, so it will either be June 12th or June 13th. That is the Saturday and Sunday. I think that is how it goes. But anyway, yeah, I think it's safe, man, because I get people are scared. I get people saying, "Oh, if all the bad things could happen," but I feel the league's making it safe as possible. You can't say, "Oh, if somebody dies," so you can't think like that because these clubs are losing money. I think these clubs have to come back and do the thing. The clubs are making it very safe for players to come and train, players to come and play. So I think it's safe enough. Um, if I think who will come back better between Barcelona and Real Madrid, um, I think Barca. You know why? Because I don't trust Real Madrid. Real Madrid is not a league team. They are a knockout team, like
Mm.
Champions League, Copa del Rey. I can't trust them in a 38 game league season or even the last 10 games that to play. Barcelona is more a team with possession, and I feel it might just suit them better. Especially, yeah, I know
But,
Suarez, he
but
washed.
what about Barcelona's struggles? They've been struggling this season, though, haven't they?
Yeah, they have to be fair. But I don't know, I just trust Barcelona more. And I know it's because I'm Messi. I just feel Messi might give them a edge. But again, Hazard coming back and Asensio as you say. But I don't know, I just trust Barcelona more, man. And Suarez coming back. I know he's washed, but he's still a big boost because that's Messi's best friend. And even if he's washed, he have a good connection with Messi. Plus, Barcelona is getting back the goose. And Brathwaite look good, man. I don't like Brathwaite look good. So yeah, man. So I feel I will say Barcelona will win La Liga, and I say Barcelona more suited after the whole break.
Okay. San Maya.
Yeah, as for Spain, I think it's probably gonna be safe. I truly hope La Liga can finish this season. And based on how successful Bundesliga have been, La Liga will probably do something similar to Bundesliga. So yeah, I think it's probably gonna be safe. And what's the second question?
So basically, so who do you think will come back better? Who do you think this kind of rest would have benefited the most, Barcelona or Real Madrid?
I think Real Madrid. Barcelona have been struggling, and yes, they're getting Suarez back, but Real
Yeah,
they're getting Hazard.
what the hell? He's the dude is on the decline. So
Yeah, yeah,
getting him back a big. I mean, yes, they need a striker.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
That's one. Uh, but yes, they get Suarez back, but Real they get Hazard back and Asensio. So I actually thought this is Real Madrid's year to win the La Liga, and Real Madrid this year their biggest problem is their offense. They're struggling to create chances and score goals. Now they have Hazard and Asensio. They're gonna create more chances, and I think they're gonna be the difference maker. So yeah, Real.
okay. Samuel. Do you think it's too early for Liga to return? And who do you think will come back the stronger?
I don't think it's really too early for La Liga to return. La Liga have the money, and they have so much money that they can make the players as safe as possible and the staff around them. So if the government says that they can return after a certain day, I think the other guy said they don't actually return on June the 8th. They return on like the Monday after or something like that. Um, yes, it says to go on. Who do I think is more equipped? I generally think Barcelona, mainly because of the fact that I feel like the team is more. I know they've been struggling, but I just trust Barcelona more than Real Madrid. I don't trust Hazard at all.
Wow. Why don't you trust? Why don't you trust that?
Listen, I'm not trying to hate on Hazard, and I'm allowing him this season because
There's
it
a lot
is
of
his
hate
first
here.
season in Real
It sounds
Madrid.
like hate. Sorry.
Now, I'm not. HH, I know how you are with him, but please hear me out. I'm not trying to hate.
and I know it's his first season, but right now, like Hazard, shaky. It's shaky with him. So I'm not gonna put that responsibility on him. So and Barcelona have Messi, and personally with Messi, if you have the best player in the league, then I believe you can hold it down.
Okay. So, but don't you think though that there's going to come a time where Messi can shoulder all this responsibility that Messi's having to do far too much? And so do you still think that he'll still be able to be this one-man army that can then take them to the league title yet again? So it's basically same as thinking, or do you think that they need more help? More help from
I
Greece,
mean,
more help from the cannibal?
Let's look at it this. How many more games do they have until the end of the league campaign? Is it 9?
Since something like that. Let me check.
If it's a 9, then I don't know. Somebody in the comments might check it.
It's so they have played 27, so it's so they have 10, 11 games left. 11 games left.
11 games. I genuinely think with people saying that Messi is that great, yeah, and we're putting that responsibility on him, then I think he can do it. However, if you're talking about long term, if you're talking about seasons on like next season and then the season after, I don't think he can do it because he's like 33 or 34. You can't sustain it for that long at that age. So if we're talking about these if you isolate these games, 11 games, yes, I think he can do it. However, if you're talking about the long term, next year, the year after, then you need a lot more help. You need to get a lot more signings.
Okay, so I'm just lastly on this then. So do you think that Hazard first season major signing, he deserves the kind of sort of criticism for his lack of output in this season? Did you expect him to do more or?
Listen, I want to be truthful here. I'm a Liverpool fan.
I didn't crack a joke, man. But I don't know why we're laughing. But
listen, I want to be so truthful. All I'm saying is that the way some Chelsea fans, a certain person called HH, I don't know who he is, hyped up Hazard, it made me start to hate him. But if I'm looking at him if I'm just isolating him and just looking at him as a football player, I'm gonna allow him for the first season because you still need time to break in and gel with the team and everything. And he has had injuries. So I'm gonna allow him for this first season. However, the second season, if he does the same thing, I'm sorry, I'm coming for his neck.
Okay, no. That's fair. That's fair. See, that's what I call reasonable. Just these is that some of these clowns in the live chats who are just delusional morons who are just doing it because he won a European Cup, But it is what it is. LB, speaking on this, so do you think it's too early for the Liga to return? And who do you think will come back stronger, Barca or Real Madrid?
Look, I think if they almost take a leaf out of the Bundesliga's book, do more of a staggered approach, put in place the precautions, I don't think it'll be too early. Obviously, there's going to be no crowds, and hopefully the bench are going to be aware of the importance of practicing social distancing, just like the teams in the Bundesliga have. In terms of who it would suit the return, Barcelona or Real Madrid, I think it would suit Real Madrid. Like you were saying, HH, Barcelona only get back Suarez, and let's face facts, this is not the Suarez of 2014-15.
Nope.
This is a Suarez in which, mind you, I'm very surprised is still playing for Barcelona. I thought he would have left at the end of last season. But in terms of how this would suit Real Madrid, obviously, yes, Hazard and Asensio, even though Asensio won't be 100% match fit. And I was pretty surprised that he has been able to return initially thinking that he missed the whole season. And as for Hazard, look, he hasn't even had
a chance to prove himself before this pandemic. And like what the other person was saying, when you change clubs, change countries, start in a new league, you need to give yourself some time to gel, to get used to, the whole culture, the way the team plays. So I think a lot of people need to go easy on Hazard, but I have faith that he will perform in time.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. Red Tommy, man. So it's been too early for La Liga to return. Real Madrid, Barcelona, who do you think will come back more focused? Red Tommy? Going once, going twice, sold. Elite opinions. La Liga, do you think La Liga has returned too early? And do you think will come back first, Real or Barcelona?
I think with the league coming early, I think it's due time now. If it wasn't now, it would probably be delayed by another few weeks, so there's no point. And on to the point, who's the more... I'm sorry, but you have to go with Barcelona. Real Madrid are bricked when it comes to securing La Liga titles. Let's be honest here. Barca are less reliant on teams on their home crowd. They're better away from home. Real Madrid are more reliant on the Bernabeu, so I don't see any... I think the distance between Barca and Real Madrid come the end of the season could be 4 or 5 points. If I'm being honest.
So basically, so you just feel based on Barcelona's record and experience, they'll be able to
have that experience to wrap up titles. They just something Real Madrid don't know.
You see, that is fair though. As much as I'm a supporter of Zad, and I think Asensio is still
they have great
the
talents. Real
Bundesliga.
Madrid. Real Madrid have great talent. I think personally, on their day, Real Madrid could beat Barca. Continue. I think Real Madrid, the players have come back, is doing extremely well. I rate Hazard so highly. I think he's probably behind Messi, the second best player in La Liga. behind Messi, second best player in La Liga. Sorry, and I think if Hazard's full fit, Asensio's full fit, everyone's on their day full fit, they probably could win the Liga. But that's all if, buts, and maybes. But if you're talking to me now after the pandemic and they come back, I see only Barca winning. I'll be honest. It's tradition. Since probably the 21st century, they've wrapped up the league title like nothing.
Okay. Before I go over to Mr. Wasim, so the thing is, don't forget that Messi will be fully fit, 100%. But I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he made a suggestion that is Messi going to even come back, based on whether he thinks things are safe enough for him to come back with regards to him being around his kids and so forth. So that's another thing of whether he's even going to come back. But even if Messi is fully fit, it's still a one-man job. And there will be a time, maybe not now, maybe not next year, there'll be a time when Messi cannot physically do this anymore. And when Messi cannot fully do this anymore, Barcelona are screwed, because all they'll have is a French side chick called Antoine Griezmann. Your boy Wasim, speak on it.
Yeah, so I think that there's no reason to believe it won't be safe, because if the Bundesliga can do it, why can't La Liga? The government in Germany allowed the league to resume, and in the manner that they're doing. And so if the Spanish government is allowing the same, then there's no reason to believe why it won't be safe. I mean, the Serie A is also due to resume, I believe, June 15th. That's when the government said that they can resume. And as well, so the government said that the La Liga can resume from June 8th, but that doesn't mean they will resume on June 8th. I mean, they can still wait a week, depending on what the league decides. So, I mean, if they take all the precautions that Germany does, I don't see why it won't be safe. And also the cases, I believe, are going down in Spain, so it's looking not too bad, like the situation is improving, so I think it'll be fine. With regards to Barcelona and Real Madrid, I think that Barcelona will have the advantage for one simple reason, and that is what the Super Chat just said. Messi will be fit, because there was suggestions that Messi was underperforming earlier this season because he was carrying some sort of slight injury, and he was not wanting to, rest or just stay on the bench for a while, simply because Barca needed him too much and he couldn't afford to sit out. Now that he's had like 2 months or so to rest and get back to fitness, I think that he'll be back to his devastating best. And as we've seen in the past few seasons, the only reason why Barcelona is able to win the league is simply because of Messi's goals. I mean, look at last season. The only reason why Barca won the league comfortably is because of Messi. He was carrying them. If he wasn't playing, Real Madrid or Atletico could have won the league. It would have been much closer. And so I think the fact that Messi will return fully fit is going to swing the advantage in Barca's favor. Now, yes, Real Madrid do have players coming back from injury, like Hazard and others. But then Barca also has Suarez coming back. So I think Messi's return is going to be that edge.
It's not a pick Suarez. Messi was looking for Suarez to help him in Europe in the Champions League. What happened? He didn't help him. So
that's true. That's true, but Suarez does perform in the league usually, and Hazard isn't at his peak either. So you could say the same for him. I just think that, with the injured players coming back from either team, it's kind of even. But I think Messi is the one that's going to edge it in terms of the title race.
Okay, all right. Yes, aside says in Zizou I trust. Well, you see, the funny thing is this, and this is probably a conversation we're going to have, on the Sunday Hangouts, which is the Real Madrid three-peats. I rate Zidane, but Christina was a large part of Zidane's success. People don't want to admit everything. Christina was a large part of that success. And without that goal scorer, call him a tapping merchant, call him whatever you want to call him a goal hanger. He was the guy that was the finishing product of the framework that Zizou built. So without Christina, I don't know how much Zizou can do, because Zizou is not the greatest manager in the world. He was just good because he had a certain team and certain players, and all those players were needed. That was a very key thing. Your boy Storch, speak on it.
Yeah. I was thinking, I think it's safe to return football to return in Spain, although I believe it's less safe than England if you're just going based on deaths, which is interesting. Yeah, but it's perfectly fine for the players to return. They're in the best conditions and everything should be fine. As for Barcelona and Real Madrid, I feel that Real Madrid sort of blew their chance. I mean, they've had a lot of luck throughout the season. For instance, earlier in the season, I believe Messi was injured. That was huge luck. Barca's best player being injured for like 5 games, I believe. Then, around the midpoint of the season, Barcelona basically had almost no attackers. All they had was Griezmann, who wasn't performing, and they still managed to blow a lead. And now you have a fresh Suarez, who I believe hasn't rested for like 5 years, who has played consecutive football. You've given him rest that he needed after surgery, so he's coming back fit. He might even look better. And he's always performed in the league. In fact, I believe that he has a great record against Madrid as well. And you also have, isn't Dembele fit as well?
Storch, we're gonna we're gonna have a conversation about the US. Just relax. We'll just chill. We're gonna talk about the US. Relax. Just chill. Just relax.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about this.
No.
Please, just
okay.
Just
yeah.
talk.
Okay. If he's back as well, that's basically 2 attackers that they were missing, and then you have Messi, who basically he's owned the league pretty much ever since he's made his debut. And then I'm meant to trust a Real Madrid team that, even though they perform well in the Champions League, are not the best in the Liga. We have a Benzema who seems to be in love with missing easy chances. So and Asensio, who was meant to be up there with Mbappe, but I don't really remember what he'd done ever since. All I remember is he scored 2 beautiful goals against Barcelona, and ever since then, I'm not quite sure what he's done in football. So is he even a starter ahead of Hazard? So I don't know what difference he makes. Yeah, I feel this is, Barcelona's going to win. Real Madrid, they could have won it. They had a lot of luck, but they blew it.
Okay. So yes, Said, speak on this. So too early for La Liga to and Barcelona and Real Madrid. Who do you think comes after lockdown?
All right, so too early for the Liga to return. No, Bundesliga is already back. And too early for any league to return is kind of like a redundant argument, because football is already back. At this point, it's inevitable that football will be back, other than the Premier League, where it's all about politics and whatnot. And I mean, everyone's opinion is, I don't have anything against anyone's opinion, but I feel like it will eventually be back. So it's inevitable. But and who has the advantage, Real Madrid or Barcelona? I don't know. I mean, there's so much uncertainties between both teams. Um, I mean, Barcelona has Messi, which is the best player in La Liga. So I mean, they have the advantages then. But Real Madrid have really good players. And it's all about if Real Madrid players come back with the right attitude, the right mindset. If people like Asensio and Hazard and Bale are all fit.
So if Hazard and Asensio come back, do you think this is enough time to make an impact, or do you think the time away, especially for Asensio, who's not played for like months, is too long for them to come back fully sharp?
I feel like overall Real Madrid as a team is better than Barcelona. If you look at Barcelona midfield is utter garbage. If you look at Barcelona defenders, they're utter garbage. Their best defender is PK, and he's a brick. Let's be honest. I mean, if it wasn't for Ter Stegen, Barcelona would not be champion.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. In my opinion, Real Madrid overall is a better team, and they have a better manager. And you got to stop disrespecting Zizou as a manager. Three-peat. Uno, dos, tres. Come on, man. That's legendary.
No,
That will forever be in history. You cannot repeat that.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Be honest, does he win those 3 titles without Cristiano?
But that's a irrelevant argument because Pep doesn't win the Champions League title without Messi. Come on. Like, like we could say that about any team.
But for him,
Karius gave him a title.
No, wait.
For him to be called a great manager, it's like I need to see you do what Mourinho did. Success for Chelsea, success for FC Porto, success for Inter, Ancelotti, success for AC Milan, success for PSG, success for thingy. Your Panke, success for Real Madrid, success for Bayern Munich. So I know that you can go into different. Basically, this is now very important. This period now, where there's no Cristiano, it's a new team, it's a much older team. Can he still find success in La Liga and in Europe? Then this can prove that this was dependent on the goals of Cristiano. So.
Go ahead.
No, go.
No, but then like you got to look at what he's managing Real Madrid. Real Madrid, they don't care who you are, they will sack you. They sacked Ancelotti after he won him the Champions League. And then at the end of the day, there's no more difficult job than Real Madrid because Real Madrid has no loyalty. They sacked Mourinho. I don't think they sacked Mourinho. I think he left. But then they will literally sack you. They sacked Rafa Benitez halfway through the season, not even halfway. They sacked him for Zidane. And they're like, nah, we're not feeling you. We're going to get Zidane. So at the end of the day, like with or without Ronaldo, like at the end of the day, if he does not win that Champions League or he doesn't do that, Zizou will get sacked. Literally, Zizou got begged. They begged him. Real Madrid was on their knees begging him for him to return. Come on, man. If they didn't value Zizou, they wouldn't have begged him to come back.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Wait, are you trying to say that Zizou is the best manager in the world?
I'm not saying Zizou is the best manager in the world, but at the end of the day, what he has done is legendary, man. There's certain things you cannot repeat. That three-peat that he done with Real Madrid for the Champions League cannot be repeated. Arsene Wenger's invisible season up to today has not been repeated. It's a fact.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Red Devil Studios, speak on it. Too early for La Liga to return, and who comes back stronger, Barca or Real Madrid?
Obviously between Medic here. So I actually think it's interesting because about a week or so ago, there was the Spanish government had actually released their locked-on pressures on other parts of Spain, but they didn't include Madrid or Catalonia. And there was a bit of angst from the Madridians and Catalans regarding the Spanish government's decision. So I'm curious to see whether this sort of return to football has been, basically I'm saying is there might have been something in the background that influenced the Spanish government's decision to be like, right, guys, because Madrid and Barcelona regions were still in phase 1 and we're not expected to go to phase 2 fairly soon. I suspect that there might have been some pressure from La Liga officials to get, Madrid and Barcelona regions to phase 2 quickly so that football could come back. is the point I'm trying to make. So there might have been something going on behind the scenes, but regardless, Spain obviously were one of the countries that were hit quite significantly, as were Italy. But obviously England, well, we've seen what happened with England right now. Clearly, the officials are obviously taking, or hopefully will be taking, the best precautions possible regarding obviously management of these things. And it'll be a question of telling, because you can't compare Spain to Germany or Italy to Germany because of the way that
that's the key, because it's they've dealt with it differently.
Exactly. So I think with a lot of these things, it is just a question of time. So we will see what happens, and ultimately, if it works fine. If it doesn't, then we'll have to reconsider things. And the most important thing is that people are safe, people are healthy, and that we don't get like a second spike of some sort. But thankfully, the weather going into summer might help regarding curbing the levels of the virus. If there's some evidence regarding the heat, who knows? But all I can say is the most important thing is that people's health is okay, and that we hope we don't get any fatalities from this. Focusing on the football now regarding Barcelona and Real Madrid. A lot of people are saying about fit. Yeah, players are fit, but they're not match fit though, and that's what we're seeing. So to be honest, I don't think any team in the Liga is going to be as benefit, because they're essentially much like the Bundesliga, and I would argue maybe even more so, because the Bundesliga, the teams had actually been back training for a bit, whereas the Spanish teams have started training a bit like later. So I think a lot of the teams, you're going to see a lot of players that are just not match fit at all. The football is not going to be good, I would argue, for at least the first month, because players are not match fit. They're not. And the players that are going to be most affected by that are obviously the players that will be older.
Okay, but then, do you think that this then benefits more technical-minded players like an Isco, like a Messi, who don't really require much physicality? So whereas they can use their skills and their intelligence and their nuance to get past players a lot easily, who don't have the kind of physicality and sharpness to really tackle them quickly as they would have if they were fully fit.
Possibly. I mean, you could argue this could also benefit Atletico Madrid, teams that basically just put 11 men behind the ball.
Sit back,
so sit back. I think it'll benefit very much teams that just, because you have to work a lot harder to break teams down. So I was actually going to say probably Atletico Madrid are probably the best team, even though they're not in a title race. I think that of all the teams, they're going to benefit most from this, because Diego Simeone is going to be like, oh yeah, sure, guys, have the ball, work as hard as you want, so and try and break us down. We're not going to do anything, and that is going to be a struggle. In regards to Barcelona and Real Madrid, though, I know people talking about Messi and talking about Ronaldo, but like I'm thinking about, for example, like a PK. Is PK really going to come back at his age, starting with Ramos? And is he really going to be on top form? Really, that for me is quite. That's a very major weak link. If he's in that Barcelona defense, irrespective of what Messi does. Suarez, same thing. I know he's been injured, but he's. So I feel that Madrid have a lot. The players in Madrid are younger, generally speaking, and their youth might give Madrid the added advantage. Now, that might change when everyone gets back to match fitness, but I certainly think in the first month or so, the edge will probably go to Madrid, just based on the more youthful team that they have in general than Barcelona. At least that's my thoughts. Now, that might change after about a month when people come back to match fitness, but I think match fitness is important, because you're not going to see Messi, you're not going to see PK, or all these players start sharp and quick, and it's just not going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I say something?
What about Sergio Ramos, guys? I mean, it doesn't appear as though age catches up with that player at all. And he's what, 30, 31, 32?
Oh no,
Sergio
33.
When I mean by age, I mean obviously taking into account the fact that they haven't played a game for 2-3 months.
It's 34.
Yeah, so it's not that I don't think that they can't play. It's just that it's going to take a lot longer for an older player to get back to match fitness then it would be for, say, like a younger player, like a 19-year-old or something, who would just be like, oh, yeah, sure, I've got the energy. I can go out and, as we've seen with Jadon Sancho, for example, playing today against for Dortmund.
Yeah,
yes.
I just want to say, next year, Hazard gonna be tutti, right? I think Hazard is on the decline, man. I think he's finished. He's gonna be 50 next year, man. I think these injuries and how he treats himself, I think it's catching up to him. I feel he's on the decline.
Don't go there.
Wait, Jamal, are you saying Hazard's going to be the new Lingard? Is that what you're saying, Jamal? You're saying Hazard?
He's gonna be the new Sanchez. The new Alexis Sanchez.
Jamal, you're a hater. You're a hater. So, let me just take this picture. You're a hater. That's all you are. So this is from your boy Ms. B Nation. Says Zizou ain't getting sacked because Florentino loves him so much. Only if he decides to leave or not. That's the only way. True. But my thing is this, okay, you say this. Zidane is loved. Zidane is a legend. He is one of Real Madrid's greatest ever players. That is a cold hard fact. Scored one of the greatest goals ever seen in football history for Real Madrid in a CL final. If Real Madrid are, for instance, let's say they're 4th or 5th in La Liga, and let's say they get knocked out of the CL group stage and they're just losing game after losing game, does Florentino just wait until Zidane leaves, or does he sack him? I don't think there's anybody who is fully 100% unsackable. Nobody has full carte blanche. Nobody is fully unsackable. So I just think that for like, I don't think Zidane will do as badly for where he'll get sacked. I don't think that will ever happen. But just not. Don't be like, because if Ramiro are, for instance, 7th or 6th, I don't care whether your name is Zizou, he's getting sacked. That's just a fact. And yeah, 42. Yeah, I mean, like I don't nothing more needs to be said. I want to talk about Kante. So, Premier League are pushing ahead. They're pushing ahead, but there are still players who within the Premier League who are saying that they may not want to play. They have different issues. Troy Deeney was one that came out and said that, look, he has a young kid who has breathing difficulties and stuff, so he feels uncomfortable in really putting himself out there in terms of playing in the Premier League and so forth. And Kante has now fully said for health reasons he couldn't be part of Chelsea. So, and this was something I brought up weeks ago. I said, because my example was, for instance, let's just say like an Aguero for Man City. Says for whatever reasons he doesn't feel safe enough to be part of this Man City thing, and therefore he won't play. What would you do? Yes, Chelsea have been able to survive without Kante, but Kante has been very, very key for Chelsea. This is interesting. Kante shouldn't get paid if he doesn't want to play. That's interesting. That is interesting. Because then I think that is one. I think that's actually even a really good jump off. Because I remember there's a dude called Pierluigi Casiraghi who was injured for about 2 years, but that guy still got that paper. He still got that cash. So let me come first here to San Maya then. So with regards to someone like Kante, who says for health reasons he can't play, and he refuses to play with for Chelsea. Do you think that if there are more key players for clubs who don't want to play for health reasons, it makes it difficult for the Premier League to start because not everyone is on an equal footing? Or do you think that doesn't matter? And do you think that he should still sort of get paid and so forth, even though he's choosing not to play and quote unquote to do his job? Sanmaya.
Well, if the Premier League does return, the players should be playing for their teams. And if Kante refuses, I think you can make an argument that he shouldn't get paid because you're part of the club, and Chelsea need you. They're fighting for the top 4. The 3rd place, I think, but they're fighting for top 4 essentially. And your support, they need you you're supposed to play and you have a contract. So I know it's during this coronavirus period, but if the Premier League is gonna return, you're part of the club, you're supposed to be playing. So yeah, you can say he shouldn't get paid.
But what if he then makes the argument that, like, okay, look, these are wild times that we're living in, and he says that if these were normal times, I'd happily play, but based on my particular health reasons, even if I want to play, I can't play. Is it still a case of like, well, health reasons or no health reasons? If you're not going to be helping us play, you don't get paid. So you still think that Chelsea are still in the right.
Yeah, I know it's kind of harsh to do that, but yeah, I think you can make an argument that Chelsea they it's not wrong for them to not pay him. I think it's actually fair for Chelsea to not pay him. Yes, it's very harsh, but he has a contract at Chelsea, so I think yeah.
Okay. LB, what about you? Where do you stand on this whole thing? Do you think more players like Kante will come up with reasons or health reasons for not playing? And if you see more players like Kante not play, and especially these are key players for, let's say, teams fighting relegation and so forth, what kind of scenario does that create? Is that still a fair setting to really continue the season with, or is it like the show must go on, whatever happens happens?
Look, I mean, this might be just a prime example of someone just putting it all into perspective and realizing that there are other things, outside of football, health, safety, and to be honest, I don't really blame Kante for thinking in such a way. I think if he does sort of come out and say that he's not comfortable playing, it will perhaps give other players, those who are somewhat reluctant to play themselves, a bit more of an edge or a bit of an extra sort of a bit more motivation to come out and say that they don't want to play themselves. I understand that he's being paid a lot of money. We're talking about international footballers here. So if that is the case, at the very least, I think he should take a pay cut. Obviously, dependent on how long he wants to take off and all those other sort of factors. I know personally I'll be going into work tomorrow at my school for the first time in 8 weeks, and I don't have a choice over that. And yes, I am uncomfortable, but I don't think it should be any different, considering that he's an international footballer and I'm just working at a school. But still, I think he should compensate by at least taking some sort of pay cut if he does go through with the decision and they do allow him to do that.
I think that is a fair compromise. I think that is a fair compromise because, again, like, if you can reach a compromise and a great balance, that's key. I think against people saying, well, this is a contract, blown play, but if a guy has a health reason that puts him at risk, I think the fairest thing is, well, we need you to play. We need you to play. But if you can't play, we can't really pay you the full amount of you being a full player of our team who can only not do your job based on injury. Because I'm sure in the contract it says you will be paid the full amount. And the only time that you can't play but still gets paid the full amount is if you're injured or you're suspended or you're international duty. So I'm sure within the contract it doesn't say, oh, if I have a certain illness and so forth. So, and a contract is a contract.
There will be something in the contract that will say regarding like keeping the environment of the players. So if the players obviously feel that their environment or the environment they're playing is not safe, under threat, there will be something in that contract that will lean towards the player having potentially the right not to play. Just like, for example, if the players went, for example, to a country where there was like conflict or war, etc., like the players could potentially refuse to go there based on their safety or something. So otherwise, then they could take them anywhere in the world, irrespective of the players' wishes or demands, etc. So you've got to think from this whole. I guess I'm speaking from obviously from my point of view, but we have to actually. We don't know what the health reason that Kante has. So if the health reason, for example, is asthma, which it might be, then according to government guidelines, like he still needs to be in lockdown anyway, because people who have certain health conditions have to still remain in lockdown for another 3 or 4 months. So the fact that the club, so you could argue that the club, if Kante has a specific health condition that puts him in a high risk, or maybe he's taking his friends or whatever, that if the club are saying you need to come back, despite the fact the government advice says you can't for these particular people, then he's potentially being discriminated against and can bring charges to Chelsea. Now, if you put that aside and Kante just has a specific health problem, he could be getting advice from his doctor, from his physician, or whatever it is, and they might say, right, well, you need it'll be a risk. You might be okay, but it'll be a risk, and possibly Kante might think, well, maybe I don't want to take that risk given the circumstances, because I don't have assurances that the club have put things in place. Bearing in mind that we know that 2 or 3 Chelsea players had coronavirus, Hudson-Odoi, thingy, etc., etc., and that he doesn't feel confident that the club will be able to give that environment for him to be able to perform. So I guess what I'm saying is just forget the fact that Kante is a footballer for a second and just think about any other person with a health condition regarding work.
Yeah.
You know, they would be in the same situation, and it would be dangerous for a company to discriminate by sacking said person or dismissing them or bringing a pay, etc., based on a health condition when they cannot guarantee the safety of that employee working in those conditions. Am I making sense?
It makes sense.
Yeah. Red Devil, does that different foreign policy cover pandemics as well, though?
So I say that again. That was the error.
Yeah, that's okay. Does the policy? There's a policy of safe environment. Does that cover pandemics?
Do you mean as in what do you mean? As in you mean the club's contract, or do you mean government policy?
Yeah, the contract. Yeah, the club's contract.
I would suspect. I mean, I don't know what the Chelsea contract is. I'm just speculating.
It should.
But I would suspect it's going to be one of those things where it'll be about wording. So there will be something in the contract, presuming that will be about safety, safe environment, etc. So that, for example, like I remember, you remember when this was the Arsenal when thingy, is it Xhaka? They were playing in.
Yes, the whole thing. Yes,
so I guess
Albania.
You know, but there wasn't any obligation from the players to go because, of course, there was the safety issues there. They could have been, you know, stabbed or thingy or whatever, you know, and there was a whole thing about that, you know.
No. I think it was Mkhitaryan.
Was it Mkhitaryan? Yeah, something like that. So, you know, and it wasn't like you're like, yeah, you're being paid, you're forced to sort of, because there's presumably something in there that says we're not gonna put our players in a dangerous environment where they might be exposed to risk. So I think it will be about interpretation, basically, and that's my point.
Okay, so
and I have no doubt. I have no doubt that if there's any player in world football who would take a pay cut, it would be Kante.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So let me just answer this, dude. If the government says it's safe, then Kante has no legal right to be paid. The governments are clowns, as we've seen. So the government saying anything shouldn't really mean anything, because I don't care whether it's illegality or anything. These governments have already proven that they are even confusing their own people. So you shouldn't be taking anything that the government says during this kind of pandemic where nobody, even the scientists, don't even know and don't even have all the facts. You shouldn't be taking anything from the government as facts. So,
but also people need to understand that when if the government says it's safe for well, in quotes, because obviously in the UK we're behind others, but it's safe in quote for people that don't have underlying health conditions. So a good example is I think DT on Arsenal Fan TV something is still going to be in isolation despite the fact that things because he has an underlying health condition. So it's people are thinking that if Kante had no underlying health condition, I absolutely agree with what everyone's saying. But he's saying that there is an underlying health condition that he has that means that he doesn't want to come back. So until we know what that underlying health condition is, and it could be something like asthma, for example, which a lot of football players have, that makes you at risk in regarding to coronavirus, etc., then he's well within his rights, given the fact the government have said that those people with underlying health conditions must still remain in isolation for 3 to 4 months to not get involved in football. That is what it is.
Can
Okay.
I speak on?
Okay, so let me bring in. Okay, boy, Jamal, go for it, Jamal.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably sound a little harsh in this, but that's why you guys know I have a heart. It's how the cookies crumble. Chelsea should not feel any way possible. They shouldn't feel bad because Kante not gonna be here. Because you have to treat it like an injury. I'm sorry. So like if Aubameyang is out, I think Arsenal just have to go on as everything as normal. Even if Salah. The problem I have with Kante, I think he shouldn't get they shouldn't take his money, his full money, but he should get a pay cut. Because it have a clause in Chelsea contract. They say if Chelsea win a trophy like the Champions League or the Premier League, players getting 100,000 bonus. So is Kante gonna get 100,000 bonus if let me just say Chelsea win the Champions League? No, it's not right, man. His name is still going down in Chelsea, who win the Champions League. So I think it's not fair for the other players to do the hard work and win a Champions League and for Kante to get his 100,000 bonus. So I feel he should take a pay cut.
Okay, so let's say, so if there's a scenario where several players can't play for different health reasons and so forth, you still think that the Premier League should still go ahead and still play behind closed doors?
Yes, because the thing with people forgetting, I think the Premier League is only 9 games. So 75% of the league done already went. So nobody can complain and say, oh, we didn't have key players for that. It's only 9 games. So you tell me what, you can't complete 9 games? It's not like it have about 10 or 15 or 16 games.
But let's be clear here. There are only a few points separating in the fight for top 4. The relegation battle is deep. So what if like a team in the relegation battle, 2 or 3 of their star key players decide not to play for health reasons? In those 9 games, they could lose 3 of those games. The reason around them could win 3 of those games, and boom, they are screwed. They're now relegated. Whereas that they could have probably stayed up if they had those 3 key players.
Yeah, that's true. But the if we ain't get to play the games, the next thing is points per game. So where I rather play without the key stars or go to our points per game and get relegated anyway. So I'm sorry, man. That's how the cookie crumbles.
Okay.
I feel yeah.
All right, Samuel, speak on it.
I was thinking about. Wait, can you not hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Cool. I was thinking about this for quite a while, and I was kind of like on the harsh side, like if they don't play, don't pay them and stuff like that. But then I heard Troy Deeney's story on why he didn't want to go into training, and it's because he has a little baby who has
what's breathing difficulties.
Breathing problems. I think so. Yeah. So then it was like, okay, that makes more sense. And then 2 days ago, TalkSport put this out, and I'm gonna read it. So about Kante. It says Kante took part in a group session at Chelsea's training ground on Tuesday, but then informed the boss Frank Lampard of his health concerns and was granted compassionate leave. The 29-year-old's brother died from a heart attack shortly before the 2018 World Cup, and the midfielder lost his father when he was just 11 years old. And a few months before his brother passed away, Kante fainted himself in training before giving a clean bill of health by the club. So it clearly looks like he has health conditions in himself and in his family. So how would I put it? I think you should treat this like an injury. And what I mean by injury is that don't players miss games if they have the flu or a cold? Have you not heard that?
Yeah.
Exactly. So treat it like that. Still pay the players. Maybe if you want to negotiate like a pay cut, then and the players are right with that, then do it. However, treat it like an injury. Listen, I know the top 4 races is very close right now, and the relegation battle is very close right now. But if players don't want to play, you can understand why they don't want to play. just treat it like an injury. Unfortunately, you wouldn't have the players to play for those important games. However, it's just like a normal season where a player gets injured. Let's just say Salah gets injured, or Kante normally gets injured, or like, I don't know, Marcus Rashford gets injured. You don't have the player because they're injured. So you just have to treat it like an injury.
No, for me, I think that is fair because, again, like, if you can prove that this COVID is particularly problematic for whatever conditions that you may have, and you have doctors telling you that it is extremely risky for you specifically to go out there and play, I think you're right in that you could have treated it as an injury and still pay him his money. Because as we just saw with the whole Mkhitaryan situation, he didn't not get paid his money for that period because you know that, look, you're putting him in a potential life and death situation. So if he's been played in behind closed doors, he's still in a potential life and death situation for himself. So it's like it's a strong argument. It's a strong argument. So because I think the way people are selling it, I think our initial reaction was, oh, he's refusing to play. There's not. This is Kante.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
because the wording is very key. You put in the headline of refusing to play, automatically be like, man, why should we pay him his money? How can you refuse to play? How can you not help Chelsea get top four or help Chelsea in Europe? But then there's another thing of, I want to play, but it is extremely inadvisable and risky for me to play, even though I want to play. That's very different from refusing to play.
Exactly. And I mean, if Chelsea don't want to pay him and he wants to move to another club, he can always come to Liverpool and get a Champions League there. We'll pay him.
Easy.
United, thank you.
You were doing really well. You were doing really well until you went. So I think we're going to be moving on. Thank you very much.
No need.
What kind of rubbish is that, man? All right, what team? Speak on it.
So I want to start out by saying that I fully respect Kante's decision. If he wants to, take time off and potentially miss the rest of the season due to his health concerns or that of his family, then he should be entirely allowed to do so. Now, it does look like Chelsea are granting him that leave for the rest of the season if he so wishes. So it's looking good in that regard. However, I'm not sure if it's being confirmed or if anyone knows whether they will going to pay him or not, or if he's going to have to take some kind of wage cut. So my opinion on that is that he should at least take some kind of pay cut because, yes, he's under contract, right? But he is not playing games. And if you're just going to miss a lot of games, whether it's for a legitimate reason or not, then if you're not playing, then should you be paid? That's the question. And so as legitimate as the reason is that he's missing these games, I think that he should take a pay cut. Because you have millions of people around the world today, just normal people who are on minimum wage, who have to stay home and they're not getting paid, right? So why should Kante be any different? In fact, Kante is making $250K a week, and he can easily afford to live just a few weeks without pay, I assume. Whereas you have millions of people around the world who are minimum wage and are getting paid nothing or maybe surviving on government checks. And so you can't have this disparity with all these poor people, not getting paid for the same reason, whether it's because they lost their job because of the pandemic or because they have to stay home as well for health reasons. And yet Kante here is getting paid, millions.
Is that what seems to see? You're now opening the Pandora's box on a very different, interesting conversation with regards to how much these players are getting paid. Should we be angry by how much players get paid? But at the same time, look at how much we pay for season tickets and how much we pay for matchroom tickets, which helps fund the players who get this amounts of money. So it is what it is, because we as fans and football fans, especially those that go to all the games, are the guys that pretty much put in all the money for them to get paid this amount of money. Because 100,000 a week is insane. It's stupid. In football terms, right? Whatever. 100,000 a week in normal regular terms is stupid, but it is what it is. But fair enough. Mr. Elite's opinion, speak on it.
Okay, I'm gonna say something that's gonna hurt a lot of Chelsea fans, and I couldn't care less, for being honest.
Okay,
it's the fact that Kante is probably is blowing a lot of people's clouds of judgment. If this was Salah or if this was Son, you wouldn't hear the end of it. You would hear constant abuse and attack. I'm sorry, but you know what you signed up for. There's a contract there for a reason. If you don't want to play, you don't get paid. Simple. I have no sympathy for Kante at all. And as for Dini, he's just a little rat. Let's be honest. He doesn't want Liverpool to win the league. Let's be real here.
What?
Okay, so Elite,
Whoa, okay,
relax.
okay.
Okay. So just relax. I think you may be a bit hyper. Easy. Just chill. Maybe a bit hyper. Maybe you've sniffed something. So let me just try and come at a different angle. So you're saying that a guy that has a potential health condition that could potentially seriously harm him.
Let's not like we were training last week.
Let me just finish. Let me just finish. Please. So a guy who has a health condition who is entering into an environment, and he wants to play, but he's being advised not to play because of how this could affect his health condition. He should not even get half. He should get nothing.
Personally, I think he should get taxed. He should get fined at this rate for what he's doing right now.
He should get fined.
At this rate, he should get fined. He's a grown 30-year-old man.
Okay, so why should he get fined?
Let me speak. When I have to talk. I'm sorry. He's a grown 30-year-old man who's getting advised, don't come in, Kante. Stay at home. He's a grown man. He should know.
Advice from who? From his doctors. If he's got an underlying health condition.
No, listen. Let's be brutal. Let's be brutally honest here. Kante's personality has saved him for criticism. He knows damn well if he doesn't want to play, he doesn't have to play. He can survive months without pay. If I'm saying right now, if you're not fit enough to play or you know you can't play, don't come to the training ground. Just don't play football. I don't know why we're having this conversation about Kante, whether he should get paid or not, whether it's safe for him to come back or not. He's a grown man. He should be able to come when he wants to. There's no need to even talk about this. It's the fact that Kante's a nice guy. We're saying, you know what, we're being too harsh.
No. Elite, no.
It has nothing to do with Kante.
You're not looking at this through a logical point of view.
I respect Troy Deeney's this decision. So
Troy Deeney's rat. Let's be honest here. He will do anything in his power not to play again if you don't want to get relegated. Let's be real here.
We don't know.
No, Elite. No. Look, Elite. It's not about let's just be real for the sake of being real because we want to look cool. We're trying to put truth here. Like I'm thinking as if you're just trying to make a controversial point for the sake of being controversial.
I'm being real here. The bottom of the Premier League table.
But if you're being real, you have to. You can still be real and still be logical. How is it logical that a guy may have a condition that is particularly dangerous for this pandemic, and you're saying that he should get paid nothing? We've all said that a compromise is okay. You shouldn't get paid the full price, but still, you should still get paid half because it should be treated like as an injury. Because your doctor have says that you shouldn't be in this an environment. So it says even despite that, he should get paid nothing.
Right. Okay. Look. The comment section is the exact reason why I think Kante's in the wrong here. I'm getting called a white supremacist. I'm getting called just because I said the truth. Yeah. Just because I said some truth. And if that's me alone, imagine if the media even try attacking Kante for a second. The comments, the fans would support immediately. This is why I say Kante predicted too much. And this is what's saving him from criticism. The fact there are just nonsensical fans who just latching on to Kante's personality to save him. He knows damn well he shouldn't go training if he doesn't want to. He doesn't have to get paid. He doesn't need his hand being held like a baby. Oh, don't come to training, don't come to that. If you don't feel like you can play, don't play. Don't get paid.
I don't understand what you're arguing.
Okay, cool.
My argument is that Kante should not get paid, and there should be no argument as to whether he should be getting a pay cut, a wage, a fair rule. There should be.
All right. Yes, aside. Thoughts on this?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. Has Chelsea came out and hint that they're gonna take Kante, they're gonna have his wages or something like that, or
decision yet? No, they've not said anything. It's official.
So it's a fact. Chelsea's not even thinking about it. They're gonna pay him if he plays or if he doesn't play. I dare Chelsea to not pay Kante. I'll go on Twitter. I'm gonna make GoFundMe app to pay his wages so he can come to Manchester United. Come on, man. Kante we're talking about.
It's
man.
fanboys like
Any
this.
any club would love to have N'Golo Kante. Any club will beg N'Golo Kante to come to their team. Are you guys insane? We're talking about Chelsea's best players.
Oh,
Chelsea
please,
won't
watch.
dare. Chelsea will not dare. Come on, this is N'Golo Kante, World Cup winner. Have some respect. Come on, listen. If he says he's not comfortable not playing, what you mean? I'm like, all right, you know what? Take a vacation, man. Come back, 6 months vacation. Come back next year when it's a lot better, to make sure that he's comfortable at the club and he's comfortable playing. Come on, man. Are you guys serious?
The scary thing though is that United would probably do that.
We would do that. Of course we would. Of course we would.
So you know what? 6 months a year, we'll pay your money and everything if you can come back when this thing is over and you're a full player. So Chelsea, please, because these United guys they could do this. So please, because
Any other player other than Kante, I'm telling you right now.
Okay. Elite's opinion. Elite's opinion. We have heard your break opinions, please. Thank you.
Break.
It's not break opinion.
No, you're right. You're right there, man. Thank you. See, it feels so good to have that executive power. Yes, finish your point.
So because the whole argument, you cannot compare football players to an average person, like regular jobs, because at the end of the day, you're getting into an argument about the social disparity of like how you have rich, poor, middle class, and such like that. Like that's an argument that's that's been having since the beginning of time. That why is there a bigger poor class, and why that we have a certain percent of people with the most money and everything. That's the argument that people are talking about. At the end of the day, football players are getting paid millions, and then at the end of the day, that's a few number of people. People work their butt off for the whole life just to become a football player, just to get that opportunity. And then at the end of the day, and we accept that as a society, we accept that. NBA players, top flight NHL players, MLB players, every professional players, we accept that we're rewarding you for your talent. We're rewarding you for being the best in your field. And at the end of the day, so the football players make millions, and you can't just say, "Oh, they make millions; they deserve to get a pay cut." Come on, that should be an argument. If that's how everybody feels, you guys should have that argument like years ago, before this was a regular standard. So that being said, there is clubs out there that can afford to pay N'Golo Kante till he deemed that he's safe. And that is a fear for Chelsea, and that's why I don't think Chelsea will even think to cut his wages.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Stodge.
Yeah, as for Kante, obviously, if he has, like you said, if he's going missing for health reasons, then Chelsea should do whatever makes financial sense for them. I can't really dictate whether the man should get paid or not. That's he's earning, that's he's living. But whatever makes financial sense for the organization, which is Chelsea FC, if they don't want to pay him because they think the pandemic might last 18 months, they have the power to do so, and I'd agree with them. And if they want to pay him, I'd agree with them also. But I have no problem with players missing for their own health reasons. What I have an issue is with players like Danny Rose, who, for whatever reason, every single minute he's screaming about the conditions. Footballers are getting treated like lab rats. This guy's making some ridiculous statements, which is untrue, because the fact of the matter is they're working in one of the safest environments where they're getting tested every few days. Yeah. And this guy is sort of is the loudest mouth, even though a lot of players actually want to play football. Yeah. And they want to help their clubs. And as for Troy Deeney,
wait. But Stodge, okay, again, I'm playing devil's advocate here and everything. Do you know, as a fact, that the majority of players want to play and are fully raring to go ahead and play behind closed doors and so forth? Do you know for that most major players are like, yes, let's go?
Yeah. From what the managers have said, the majority of players want to come back. Even Burnley. It was Sean Dyche that was saying all these players are raring to go, and I've heard that from plenty of managers. And all managers have accepted. They've basically said if a player doesn't want to play, they can come up to us and we'll let them, if it's for health reasons, stay at home. All these managers have said there's no issue with that. But the issue seems to be players with like Dan Rose who thinks that all football should get cancelled because it's unsafe and they're getting treated like lab rats and they have the worst working conditions supposedly in England, which is just untrue. And Danny Rose he's a funny case because it was like a year ago when this guy said, I can't wait for the day I retire from football. So essentially, we're talking about a guy that doesn't even enjoy the sport. And yet he's somehow become the voice for the players. I mean, this guy's literally come out and said, I can't wait to retire from football. And suddenly now he's the biggest voice.
No, but Serge, I think here's my thing. I think, see, Danny Rose is very...
And even Troy Deeney.
Wait. Okay, so
I'll get to him as well.
No. See, the thing with Danny Rose is this. Let me slightly explain this. I think it's a multitude of factors because you touched upon one thing about him saying he can't wait to retire. Then there was a whole racism issue and about how he felt he didn't really have support in the whole racism issue and everything. And I think that's coupled with just him as a personality and everything. In his mind, it's very similar to, I think it's Asoe Koto. I remember Asoe Koto saying that this is just a job for me. This isn't a passion thing. I don't actually even love football. I literally treat this as a job. I do it, I put tickets, and I go out. So from Danny Rose's point of view, I'm like, this isn't football. I'm a passion. Everything. I know this is just like regular job thing whatsoever. So this whole thing of like, I need to play to raise people's morals. Screw that and everything. So that is where he's coming from as an individual. And for me, look, but basically, it's not my place to be like, Danny Rose, you're so. It is what it is because I don't know where his mind is coming through. So Danny Rose this for all players. For all players. He just speaks for himself, and I can expect ways
No, when he says we're getting treated like lab rats, he's not speaking for himself. He's talking about the FA. He's talking about the Premier League. He's talking about football in England. To literally say we are getting treated like lab rats, it's not just himself. And this is, like you were saying, I would respect Dan Rose more when he said the issue of racism. And I've always wondered why players never do this, right? If you're actually serious about stopping racism, I think back when the players had an issue with their wages, guess what they did? They took strike. They stopped playing football. Like this idea that he came up with now, that players should boycott the league, shouldn't play football, it makes sense. And I've always wondered, if racism is such an issue and you hate it that much, why don't you come together and actually boycott from the top league until they change?
Never gets a unified movement like that, man. Look,
anyway, as for Troy Deeney and players like him, Watford, they're an interesting case because today they've had another 2 players come out and said, "Oh, we've been in contact with another player with coronavirus," even though they've been tested and they weren't positive. But somehow, since they've been tested, they've been in contact with another player, and now they have to go into isolation, which is just again shows the politics in the Premier League. Unlike other leagues. Spain, I've said it before, they've had more deaths than England. People love to talk about, when people say England, they talk about the entire UK when it comes to death. But in fact, if you just want to isolate England, because it is the Premier League and it's the English league, we have less deaths than Spain and Italy. Despite having a bigger population than Spain, we have less deaths. Yet there doesn't seem to be any issues with the Spanish league returning. And similar, no players are coming out in the Italian league. But because of the financial, we have to talk about this. Unlike in Italy and Spain, where there's a big divide in the split of money and revenue when it comes to TV.
Everyone gets that cheddar in England, man. Everyone gets paid well in England.
Everyone gets the cheddar. And these bottom teams, they don't want to get relegated. Look at Brighton. They're talking about relegating, stopping the league because they're going to remain safe if it's based on points per game. And then you look at the beaches in Brighton and they're filled with people. And you're wondering, this is the city that's complaining about it. But you look around and there doesn't seem to be a care in the world. And Troy Deeney, as for Troy Deeney, you said an interesting. You said, okay, what does a team do if they get relegated and some of their players don't want to play? Listen, if I'm a Watford player and I'm looking at Troy Deeney, I'm not going to blame the Premier League that they forced us to play. I'm not going to blame anything else. I'm going to blame him. And yeah, you must be wondering, well, how can you blame him? He's with his kid. He can keep his kid safe and play football at the same time. Players go on international duty. They go on pre-season without family, plenty of time. All this guy has to do is stay in a hotel for 2 months. Plenty of people can manage that. Yet he's refusing to do it, right? So he doesn't want to he's saying, I want to be with my kids, so I don't want to play. He can himself be in isolation, just goes to the matches and be in a safe environment, and then later get tested when he's positive, when it shows that he isn't positive, go back and everything will be all right. But listen, he's not coming from that angle. He's not willing to sacrifice with it. He's coming from the different angle as well. I just don't want to play because, my kid has asthma. Even though I can prevent everything and still play, I refuse to do so. So technically, for a player like him, if you're refusing, you don't have any health reasons, and you have the ability to play, you should not get paid. Why should he get paid when he can just stay in a hotel and actually play the game? But he's refusing to. Why should I pay him?
But
that is interesting because Kante's point of view definitely is more, you can have more sympathy towards there as opposed to Troy Deeney's. But then at the end of the day, it's from Troy Deeney's point of view, he's like, why do I have to make that sacrifice? Why do I have to make that sacrifice of not seeing my young child for 1 or 2 months? So he can, and you can then respond and say, well, bro, it's only 9 games. How much of that sacrifice it is? But Troy Deeney can still say that, okay, but cool, I know it's 9 games. It's still a newborn child. It's still my family. Why do I need to make this sacrifice for this whole pandemic thing? But then the flip side is it's one of those things of the weighting of football, of your club, of your job, of your mode of employment. Are we viewing this as a regular job? Or are we viewing this as football that is the biggest sport in the world that millions of people care about? Because there's different things from a regular 9-to-5 office job and football club history.
Let me put it like this. If Watford get relegated, let's say Troy Deeney doesn't play, Watford get relegated, that costs them like almost, is it 100 million, right?
A lot of cash, yeah.
If this guy doesn't play and they get relegated and it costs them 100 million and they have to pay him on top of that, I mean, why should they have to pay him if he's going to cost them money, essentially? Because, they have less of a chance of staying up if he doesn't play.
Yeah, I mean, that's phenomenal because I think, because again, it's like he can't use the Kante thing of, Kante's like, look, bro, it's life and death. But for you, this isn't life and death. This is 9 games. And if, let's say, you don't play, you're one of our best players, we get relegated, we lose all this money, we lose our status. That's fair. All right, Red Devil, speak on it.
Me on this, well, obviously, bouncing on this the other guy who was in. So I disagree slightly with Studge's argument about the sort of relegation fear, because while I get that the likes of Watford and Brighton have spoken about it, the teams that actually are in the relegation zone, Norwich City, Aston Villa, and Bournemouth, from what I've seen, or I could be wrong from what I've seen, I haven't seen any of their players really come out and say, I don't want to play, I have an issue of playing, etc. I don't want to go back at all, like the Cantwells, the Grealishes, etc. From what I gather, they all seem to want to come back to play football. So I don't necessarily think that in all cases that a lot of these relegation teams don't want to come back to play in the Premier League because they fear relegation, etc., etc. So regarding obviously this Kante position, I've obviously made my point when I've spoken to the other guy. The only thing I would say to add to my point was just the legal issue. I'm trying to think of this obviously as a medic, but also like any other job. And the difficulty in the case of Kante, Troy Deeney, I think, is different. I think Stodge made a very good point that Troy Deeney obviously does not have a underlying health condition, and he could very well, as players have done, isolate himself in 2 weeks, and that's what we were doing at the start. So I think that in that sense, I think he is right, and Troy Deeney could do that, although there is an argument if it's his newborn baby, should he make that choice? So I think that's fair. But specifically when talking about Kante, and from a legal point of view, the fact of the matter is, we got to think about the idea that, like, and this is not just in football, but any job as well, like if you have an underlying medical condition and we have to assume that in the contract that Kante has signed with Chelsea, there are reasonable guarantees that he will be able to play in a, in quote, safe environment. If Chelsea were to penalise Kante from any fashion, even if you think he should, there are legal implications for this. There are legal implications, and not just for Kante, but for any person. If they were working in, obviously people being furloughed now, but if, for example, it's like, for example, I've got my sister's a dentist, for example, and if they were to say to her, right, okay, we see that you've got asthma, but so yes, you're in isolation for gum guidance, etc. But because you're not coming to work and because you're not doing your teeth, we're gonna cut your pay or potentially sack you. based on that underlying health condition, that is discrimination. At the end of the day, that is discrimination based on, because the contract potentially they would have signed, unless the contract specifically says, irrespective of your health conditions, irrespective of circumstance, like a lot of 0-hour work, for example, we're not interested. That's different. But in certain contracts, I presume Kante would have signed a similar contract, or there'll be a certain agreement. You cannot discriminate against someone if they've got an underlying health condition, especially if they've got this advice from their doctor. So the legal implications that this could have, not just on football, if this was public, but on other healthcare sectors, would be massive, because
but I think
can't do that.
But I think, see, that's the key thing that clown Elite Opinions was missing is contract. See, for me, my part-time job is a 0-hour. So literally, when I work, I get paid. If I don't work, I don't get paid because I don't have a contract. I'm basically I'm self-employed. So I've got to do my own taxes and everything. So being self-employed, if I'm unwell or I'm sick or anything like that, I don't get paid because there's no contract or anything that says, oh, well, I don't get paid. If I don't work, I don't get paid. But Kante has signed a contract. We need to read the details of that contract. Hence why with Chelsea, I've not really said anything, because Chelsea will look at that contract and say, are we actually breaching the law by not paying him based on him having a health condition on the contract? So we need to read the contract, read the fine print, and then decide. Because for Chelsea, like, what they're doing right now is, okay, you're refusing to play, let's read the contract, all the fine line, go through everything. Then our decision is based on what you've signed in that contract. Say, carry on.
Well, also, just before Nippon speaks, it's just, I've read some of the comments about Troy Deeney. Troy Deeney did actually say he doesn't care if he's paid or not. So that should be put into context as well. So he has said, yeah, okay, but if they don't pay me, they don't pay me. That's fine. So you could argue that maybe Troy Deeney is coming from a different point of view than just, I don't want to play and I still want to get paid. When he said, I don't mind if I'm not paying paid, I don't care. Because he's thinking about the health of his daughter, his newborn, presumably. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, and Nippon can go.
Okay, and basically, I don't think I've ever, in all my years of doing this, had an entire chat room all wanting to get one man to talk. So Nippon, before I talk, Nippon, do you know how popular and how much loved you are on the live chat, Nippon?
Honestly, I wasn't looking at the live chat. I was just waiting my turn to get into the room.
Before you speak, can I just say that I've never seen anyone in all my years doing this. Most people hate most people here. I've not seen an overwhelming love and appreciation for one man ever in my life. So how does that make you feel that you are loved so much on this Hangout?
I'm flattered. I'm honestly flattered.
All right, so Nippon, give us your thoughts on this whole Kante thing, man.
Well, he might have a condition that, if he gets this condition could be coronavirus itself. He has every right to stay at home and train from home. And
you still feel like he should get paid, or do you think that he should be given like a pay cut?
Well, that's the complicated thing. They should treat it like an injury, like someone else was saying. But if they don't treat it like an injury, they should give him a pay cut.
And what about if, like, we've now talked about Troy Deeney and so forth, what if star players say we can't play because we don't feel safe, and you have key players missing from guys in the relegation zone and in the promotion zone and everything? Do you still think that the Premier League should still carry on even if there's still key players missing? And do you still think that it is safe enough for guys to still say what's up with the Premier League going in behind closed doors? Is it safe? Is it risk free? Are we putting players in danger by still going ahead? Your views on that?
I can't comment on that because honestly, I don't know what goes on inside the FA's head or the Premier League committee's head.
But Nippon, if you were the FA head, if you were making the decision right now, so let's say you're the FA head, let's say you're the main man, let's say you're the big, let's say you are Boris Johnson yourself, what would your decision be if you were making the final decision? Would you say carrying with this Premier League behind closed doors, or would you wait? What would be your decision, bro?
Wait like another week or so and see how they feel then.
Why wait till who? Like how the players feel, how the
players feel. How the players feel. Oh, and as for Danny Rose, look, he has Sky Sports pundit written all over him when he retired.
Oh, okay. So you think like he's planning for his career after football?
Look, he's said so many times that he wants to leave Tottenham when his contract ends.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like, and do not give me this, pardon my French, bullshit over we're being treated like lab rats.
Yeah.
You're earning £100,000 a week.
That's a lot of cash.
The best treatment in the world.
That's a lot of cash. That is a lot of cash, man. Okay, look, man, that's fair, man. That's fair. All right.
I mean, like, if I was getting paid £100,000 a week, and you know what, I would love the lab rat treatment if it's £100,000 a week. I'd go shopping in Harrods every day.
I'm good too.
Okay. So Nippon,
I'd buy a new Rolls Royce every year.
Okay, so Nippon, what would you do specifically for it with your 100,000? What would you do? Would you change the world? Or
I'd probably sell off my Vauxhall Corsa for a start, and then replace it with a Rolls Royce.
Okay, and what else?
By Chelsea.
Easy.
No. Yeah, probably buy a struggling club, a struggling Premier League club.
Or you could just invest it and make the Football Hut a better channel.
Ooh.
So yeah, Danny Rose does not know what he's talking about.
Okay, that's fair. Nippon, that's fair. All right. We're gonna change things up. We're gonna change things up, make things nice and interesting. So this is our final topic of the evening, and this was suggested to us by the people yesterday. Spain's golden generation. It's time for us to have an honest convo about this. You can't deny 3 international trophies in a row. That has never been done before. Yes, Brazil are the only team to defend their World Cup titles in 58 and 62. They should have won it in 94 and 98, personally. To be honest, they should have won 3 in a row, 94, 98, 02. They should have won in 98, but we all know that. We all know how they spiked Ronaldinho. Oh, look, we all know what they did to Ronaldo in 98. But you cannot deny what Spain did in those 3 years. But guys, I want us to have an open conversation. I respect what Spain did, footballing was. I respect their dominance. I respect what they did specifically in 2012. But my thing here is this, and I respect the football. I hated tiki-taka. I'm sorry. I hated it, but I respected it. If you can win, whether I like your tactic or not, I respect it if you can win. But all I'm saying is this. How much credit should we give that golden generation? Because how good were the teams that they faced? Was that German team really at their best? Was that Portugal team as good as the 2016 team we've seen now, or the team that we see over here? Who the hell were France? France were still playing, flipping Henri, Thuram, and all of these older guys. Pogba, Mbappe, and all these dudes weren't even a thought. They're not even a thought. that Holland team that got to that final weren't as good as the team in '98 or as good as the team in '74. So you got to give. Yes, they won. Yes, they were damn good. Yes, they brought an extremely dominant style. But was it a case of them being so exceptionally good? Or was it much more of a case of teams just teams were not really fully at their best? And you didn't really see the best of the teams, because my argument is, of those teams, a France, a Germany, a Portugal, were any of those teams historic? Like Spain's golden generation, that's their best team of all time. Like Portugal's best team was their 2000 team. That was their best ever team. Holland's best team was their 98 team or their 74 team. Germany's best ever team was possibly their 86 90 team, and maybe this 2014 team. France, they're 2000 and they're 2018 now. So my thing in here is just, where do you rank them? How do you view these guys? So Sanmaya, speak on the Spain's golden generation, man.
So your question is if the Spain's golden generation was overrated or not?
No. So basically, how highly do you rate, if you're just looking at them, how highly do you rate that Spain golden generation? Do you fully put them as one of the greatest teams of all time? Or do you not put them with such a high regard compared to, like, let's say the Brazil 98, Brazil 70 team, the Italy 06 team, and so forth, because of the opposition that they faced? They didn't really face high tier opposition.
I wouldn't say they're one of the greatest, I wouldn't say they're one of the greatest of all time, but I will put them slightly higher than the Germany 2010 to 2014 generation. I would say they're better than that generation.
And if you were to say if you were to pick one player who was the most important player for that dominance, who would it be? For me, there are two names, but I want to know which people pick.
Okay. I would say Casillas and Iniesta.
Oh,
Nah.
Both names I didn't speak because my mind was either Javi or David Villa, but Casillas. Casillas is a good shot.
Casillas saved them in the final.
Yeah,
Casillas
exactly.
is a very good shot.
Casillas.
Okay. No. Okay, no, that's fair. Okay, all right. Okay. Jamal.
Yeah. First thing I just want to say is Elite is a clown, and they should never bring him back on this channel. Yeah. This Spain generation is the greatest golden generation of all time. Yeah. The reason why I say that is because yes, all time, the best golden generation. The reason why I say that is you have to look at what they did in football. Before that Spain golden generation, all these teams now passing from the back. It didn't have none of that. Look, Firmino, you think it would have a Firmino if it didn't have the Spain golden generation? This false nine. Come playing as a striker. All that come from Spain golden generation. So that's why I feel, just because the mark they leave on football right now, I feel it's the greatest golden generation of all time.
But what about the argument that they didn't face much competition?
Yeah, I feel that is a weak statement, because I feel if you bring that generation with that team in this now, they will dominate with France. That's what I feel. And who is the best players at that thing? I gotta say Sergio Ramos and Xavi, because Sergio Ramos was there for the whole generation. So I'll say Ramos and Xavi.
Okay. No. Okay, so who would you say is the most important player? Just one. The most important player, one.
Xavi, because he was the key for. I know this is for Spain, but he was also the key for Barcelona and the tiki-taka system. So I gotta say Xavi.
Okay. Wasim.
So I definitely think that this team is one of the greatest ever, if not possibly the greatest international team of all time. So obviously,
Oh,
I
greater than
haven't
Brazil's
lived for
70,
100
Brazil
years.
98.
And
Okay, okay.
I've been going on for 100 years, so I will have to go up based off of other people say and footage of old teams and stuff. But from what people say, the Spain team is one of the greatest. And if you look back at the history, only one other team, I believe, has achieved winning 3 international trophies in a row, and that was, I think it was Germany, like in the 70s or in one of those decades. So they're only one of 2 teams ever, international teams, to win 3 tournaments in a row. As for your argument, you were saying that they might have played teams that weren't at such a high level. I mean, I don't think that's really like a valid argument because for one, I mean, pretty much every international tournament is high level, so every team is going to face very good teams.
No.
To win 3 tournaments, that's the thing. So you could say maybe, okay, one of those tournaments, they might have gotten lucky, they faced easy opponents or whatever, but 3 tournaments in a row, like that's not luck. You face the best teams. And if you look at the teams that they faced around that time, right? I believe in 2008 they beat Germany. Was it in the final?
Yep, Germany, but that was still a Germany team who only 2 years prior had revamped their entire team.
Okay, but at the same time,
they beat Germany 3 times in a row.
That's true, but Germany is still Germany, right? And to beat beat the second best team in Europe, to be the best in Europe, that's a huge achievement. To beat Netherlands, a very good Netherlands team in the final of the World Cup, and then to beat Italy, which was a stacked team in 2012. So they did face great opponents. The other thing is that the level of their play, right? So if you look at the way they played and the level at which those players were playing, the style of play, it was just unbelievable. They were basically taking a leaf out of Barcelona's playbook. And again, that Barcelona team of that period is also considered one of the best club sides ever. So if you look at the players that they had, I guess it's not really a real argument for this point, but if you look at the players that they had, were mostly Barcelona and Real Madrid players. And those players were achieving incredible things for their clubs around the same period. So I definitely think that we should, take your approach, HH, and question these types of commonly held beliefs. But I think that in this case, this team is rated appropriately. It is one of the greatest international teams ever.
Okay. But let me just quick response. Let me use the example of the France team 90 to 2000. Now, I still believe something was happening. Something happened to Ronaldo in Brazil, but fact is the fact. That 98 team was one of Brazil's best ever teams and most talented ever teams. France beat them 3-0. Was it a fake final? Something was up, but they beat them 3-0, and that was a peak Brazil team. 2000. That 2000 Portugal team, ask any Portuguese person, that was their golden generation team. That was arguably Portugal's most talented team. The 2000 team with Luis Figo, Flippin, Sapinto, Japinto, and Rui Costa. That was one of their best teams. Sergio Conceição and all those dudes. And you look at the final. People again would say Del Piero, Pictotti, Del Vecchio, I believe Maldini, Albertini, Toldo. That was a huge, massive Italy team, as opposed to the 2012 Italy team or the thing also. So that's just my argument of
So you could argue that, HH, you could say that the previous teams faced better opponents, but then my counter argument would be that this team, the Spain team, would probably beat that France team. Regardless of the fact that they faced probably inferior opponents, they were still a better team. Because if you look at player by player, right, that Spain team is just superior in my opinion to the France team. And not only that, but the way they played, the tactics they used, they would probably be unstoppable for that France team.
No. But it is so great to see that, because it's great that you mentioned on the tactical tip, because yes, they'd keep possession, but the thing about that France team is within a Zidane, an Henry, a Trezeguet, or even a Wiltord, they'd be able to counter and get the ball to their individuals quickly, because how you beat that Spain team, you had to have individuals. And my problem when I was watching that Spain and golden generation is that there aren't 3 superstars who The way you beat this team is direct. You're going to go direct because they need loads of players in the opposition box to keep the ball and to overwhelm you. But you will have the ball. But when you have the ball, can you have 2-3 individuals who can get the ball past them? Which is why Holland was so close. Holland had the tactic. But flipping Casillas messed up the dream for my boy. Okay. But Holland had the tactic. Robin was about to become a horseman because Holland knew that, fine, let them have the ball. We have the speed. We can beat them. We can beat the offside trap. We have the route one. We have Snyder, who is the through ball artist. We have Robin, who's the finisher. But Casillas messed it all up, you damn prick. But it is interesting. It is interesting. Who would win? That's France 2000 or that's Spain team? Is interesting. So before I come to Ellie, let me just hit this. They documented doping in the game. Look, I don't want to allege anything. I don't want to say anything. I just read something somewhere that's mentioned doping. But I don't want to be that guy that doesn't have any substantiated evidence to now say these dudes doped.
Who is he referring to? Is he talking about
I just think pissed off that Robin did it. So I do it because I'm just being childish, okay? Yes, I'm doing it because I'm childish because Robin could have won that damn thing, man. Okay? Sue me. Okay, Elite, talk, man. Talk on this thing, man.
First of all, I'd just like to talk about some of these comments. I'm being described.
Elite, no. Elite, just talk about.
Oh, carry on, man.
Please,
make it sound like I'm Hitler. Okay, so first of all, that Spain golden generation. When you think about the teams they faced in the 3 competitions, you'd say that 08 German side wasn't a stacked team. It was a team full of promising stars rising, and that 2010 Dutch team, I think, is probably the most un-Dutch team you'd ever say you've seen. Although tactically they were defensively good, it was probably the most aggressive, fluid playing type of team. Like, I wouldn't say that's a tough opponent for Spain. I think it was just the heat of the final, stuff like that stopped Spain. Because I think they probably dominated Spain. I think they dominated the Dutch in the final. And that 2012 final, I saw someone say that Italian team was stacked. They had players like Montevideo in midfield. It was a team full of one tournament wonders, if I'm being honest. So I would say that Spain team is a great side. It's probably the great top 3 international sides ever play football. But I wouldn't go as far to say it's getting glorified as it's the best ever team to ever play.
So who would you say was the most important player in that team? Then, if you had to pick one,
David Villa probably, because without David Villa, they don't win that 2010 final. Not the final, sorry, they don't win 2010 at all. Them goals against Paraguay, Portugal, they don't win that.
I mean, no, but then Mo made a good point. This is for all 3 tournaments. So would you say David Villa was the most important?
But the most important, obviously, is the World Cup, though. But if you're talking all 3, I would probably say if you're looking at someone like Fabregas, maybe Xavi. Midfield probably was one. The midfield, if any of the midfield,
but if you had to just pick one player, if it's just to pick one player,
probably Xavi, because although Iniesta was more flashy, Xavi held the strings together in all 3 finals. I think in 08 he made that key assist to Torres to score the winner, and then 2010 great performance, 2012 great performance. I'll probably have to say Xavi because he's had a role in each 3 of the finals.
Okay. Samuel.
Do you know what? Yeah, this question is very interesting because when you actually look at it, this Spain team was one of my favorite teams because first of all, it was the golden generation. They did their jobs. Let's just put it out there. They did their jobs. They stayed consistent.
Look! It was a damn good system. Like, as much as the system pissed me off, I was like, this is pissed me. But these guys had an almost unbeatable system that nobody could crack. Nobody could crack the code.
Exactly. And do you know what? What I clocked about it is that the period that they played in, I feel like it was a period where systems started to take shape and take control of football. Before you had your elite stars who would take over a game and they will win tournaments for their teams. However, now we're getting into a period where systems are starting to take shape. You can even see in club football, Barcelona was dominating everything because of the system that they had. And it's really and truly, when you look at it, what do you rather? Would you rather a system or would you rather star players, individual talent?
But
And
but Samuel, it is so interesting you bring that up because that is precisely how you beat that Spain team, which is why it was so interesting what Wasim said in terms of the France 2000 against that Spain team. You could even the 2008 because you can't beat that team with your system. You can't because that system is too strong. The way you beat that team with individuals, where you have 2, 3, 4 guys who can win a game on their own. That is the only way you break that system down. You can't beat and that is why Germany always lost. Germany always lost because Germany are a system. The individual isn't greater than the system. They're a system. But Holland came close in 2010 and got them in 2014 because Holland have always been about individuals. So about
no, it's very true. But do you know what I generally think is that when I watched them play, I knew from that 2010 World Cup that Spain was going to win. I remember I was one of the few people that said it was either between Uruguay or Spain who I thought that would win
after
the
they
World Cup.
lost their first game to Switzerland.
Yeah, nope. I knew they were going to win, and they showed me that it was that their system was so strong they would sap the life out of the other team. Watching them, it even got boring at times. They will make you run about thinking that you could get the ball, but you couldn't get the ball, and it will just make you tired, and they will just cut you open. It's one of the best systems I've seen of all time. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And if you're talking about the French team, boy, they will run the French team ragged. I don't know what Zidane and Thierry Henry would like. They would try. I'm not gonna lie to you. They would try, but they would just sap the life out of that French team. You could even see in club football.
It is true because
what Barcelona were doing.
Yeah.
Like they actually made Sir Alex Ferguson's hand shake.
Yeah.
He triggered him so much.
It's true.
No. Look, it was a. As I said again, I'll keep saying this. I know I sound like a broken record. I hated the system, but I respected it because I was like, "This. I hate this ethos on football. This is anti-football. This is taking away the excitement of the game." But I'm like, it's about winning. I have my view on winning. You have your view on winning. Let's go. And that is the beauty of football: is my strategy and my ethos against your strategy and your ethos. Let's see who wins and let's see who scores more goals than the other. However, which way you want to go about it, let's do it. And for me, the whole Spain thing was you can't get the ball off these guys. These guys can keep the ball for 20, 25 minutes without you touching the ball. And these guys will press you and ensure that you can't do anything with the ball. So whenever you have the ball, because you've spent 12 minutes not having the ball, your brain isn't used to using the ball. So then you will make that a bad pass because they've used mental attrition of wearing you down by you having to chase for so long and not know what to do when you have the ball. So it was
that's an important point. That's an important point right there.
Was that?
No, I said that's an important point right there. One thing about that Spain team which I loved was that they wasn't tactical. It wasn't all tactical. It wasn't all flair player skills. It was also about the mentality thing, the psychological thing about it. They will beat you down to a point where you just give up. You can even see let's talk about the final, the Euro final against Italy. They tore them apart.
No. It was nasty, man. It was nasty.
So yeah, I think it's the greatest. I think it's the greatest team of all time.
Because I wanted Balotelli to win so much because he's black and the whole racial thing and everything. So yeah, no, but it is what it is, man. It's okay. Yasser Said, man. Speak on it, man. Spain.
Man, I love this Spain team. I mean, I don't know. I mean, at times, it could be boring because they're like, the whole philosophy is to control the game, and that's what they do. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've never played football in the highest level, but playing like the worst thing is when you're chasing around and cannot get a
Mm.
hold of the ball. It's a psychological thing, and then like you're trying your hardest every time you get the ball. You're scared that you might lose the ball, and then so you don't. Your pass is not sharp and everything. And this Spain just, I don't know. It just when I think about that Spain side, they could say what's up to any team in any era, in my opinion. That team, like from to the whole 11, the way it worked, and then that has a lot to say with the fact that majority of the players were from Barcelona and Real Madrid. That was a huge thing because these players know each other, and then
No,
as a
no, but yeah, no, no, no. So no, the key thing was Barcelona,
Mhm.
no Real Madrid. It was Barcelona because this is what I was saying on the yesterday's stream. Real Madrid played a different style to Spain. Spain's style was identical to Barcelona.
Facts.
So because it was mostly the Barcelona guys, they didn't have to do any retraining. Most players, there's the club game and the international game, and we now have to adapt to a different game in international. The greatest advantage that Spain had were the Barcelona players had no adaptation to do. We know these players, we know the system. Let's go.
But the thing is, AJ, you also have to think about it this way: when you like Real Madrid and you're Barcelona, and you guys play in the same league, I mean, you guys study each other's game. I mean, you like before in every classical, you watch footage. You almost implement their style of play in your mind. It's like it burns deep in your mind, and then especially when you're playing against them, like come on, like they knew each other so well. That's why, like play like Sergio Ramos, he fit perfectly in there, and as Xavi Alonso was playing for Real Madrid, he fit perfectly in there. I mean, it's like that team, that Spain team was a complete team. Like when you're looking for a complete team, the closest that you could get close to a complete team is that 2014 Germany team where they them guys know each other, like how well they knew each other, like the back, like they were like they could see each other like in the back of their minds. Like you didn't see Sergio Ramos out of place. You didn't see Xavi Alonso out of place. I mean, yes, the system reminded everybody about Barcelona because Barcelona tiki taka is pretty much a possession based system where you
Mm.
keep a hold of the ball and you're very like you have like 70% possession and you're very economical with the ball, and then you just keep it pass. You have like 2,000 passes in a game, something ridiculous. But at the same time, for me, at times it could be boring, but at times like it's beautiful, like. And for me, the most important for me, I have a bias in terms of like if you ask me who's the most important player for that generation. For me, it's like Xavi Hernandez was one of my favorite players of all time. Like
Okay.
I'm very biased towards him because that guy, in terms of like
No, 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 he
midfielder,
never lost the ball. He never lost the ball.
it is.
He
And
was
then
the system.
exactly. And then for him is like in terms of passing for him, he mastered it. When you mastered an art of football in terms of passing, he was the master. Like there was no one better than him in terms of passing the ball and keeping the ball. And it's just like you look at like they had Fabregas, they had what you call it, Xavi Alonso. They had I don't like to say this because I'm a United fan. They had David Silva, but they had David Villa. They had Fernando Torres. Even though you don't like Fernando Torres, but I still give props to Fernando Torres. I mean, the
No, no,
most
no, no, I mean, he won them the 08 thing, and I think he started well in the 2012 Euros. So
the most iconic goal was that goal that Xavi gave to, was it Jordi Alba, where he just like literally, was it Jordi Alba that scored, like the guy who was running from, was he playing left back? I don't remember, but it was a Xavi gave amazing, beautiful pass through ball to a player, and he just scored because
oh
all he
yeah,
had
no,
to
no,
do.
no, 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 no. It was the second goal, 2012 final, where
Yep.
through ball and Alba came from deep.
And it just the
No, no,
fact that Alba was just running. Alba was just running, and he just the ball just hit his foot and it went in. That's how amazing that team was. And then you could go in with the Iniesta. You could go in with the David Villa, which I feel is one of the most amazing strikers in of his generation. I mean, was, I feel like he's underrated in terms of ranking him as being one of the greatest goalkeeper ever. In my opinion, he's a legend. PK was not bad like he is now. I mean, PK was actually decent.
But he definitely relied a lot on Puyol and Ramos.
I mean, but he was decent. Come on, guys. Like, can't give him a props. He was part of those systems, and then so use that generation, man. I just feel like, man, if for me, you could say they didn't play a lot of good teams and everything, but at the end of the day, who did Germany play? Come on now, that Brazil team was not a Brazil team. Come on, let's be honest.
No, that's fair. No, that's fair. All right. Stodge.
Yeah, Spain is definitely one of the greatest teams ever. However, I wouldn't say it's the greatest. Obviously, they had a lot of great players. I think for me, they only face what I would consider like one really top team, which was Netherlands, which they have difficulties with, and styles make sort of fights or matches and games. And I feel like the Italian style suits Spain very well. So obviously, like if you look at the Euro final in 2012, they absolutely demolished Spain. Whereas every time they face the Netherlands, they struggle with it because the Netherlands probably had more individual quality. And for the most important players, I would say it's definitely Puyol and Xavi. And yes, because Ramos, I believe, for the majority, like the first two tournaments, if I'm not mistaken, like I know for definite, 2010 World Cup, the dude was a right back. I mean, in the middle, it was PK and Puyol. And really, the Madrid players, if I'm just going to keep it 100% honest, I feel that the Barcelona players, I feel like if we took the Madrid players out of that team, and it was just Barca players and the rest of Spain, they still could have won those trophies. In my mind, I feel like they still could have done it. Because you look at David Villa, Fabregas, Iniesta, Xavi, Puyol, Piqué, Alba. I mean, damn.
Stodge, do they still win that 2010 final without Casillas?
I mean, it's Robin. It's Robin. He talks a lot.
I don't know.
Nah, Casillas saved them.
I don't know, man. No, even beyond that, he made key saves in 2012. Casillas, if you look at it, and this is something that I really overlook, Casillas made some very clutch saves. Very clutch saves.
Yeah, Casillas was important, but I'm talking about like the outfield players. I feel like Ramos, I don't see how, for like example, the 2010 World Cup, how he was that much more important than PK. If we're going to just be 100% honest, he was the right back. The two in the middle was PK and Puyol. And ever since Puyol retired, I don't know why people don't give credit to Puyol. Ever since Puyol retired, and it's been Ramos has been on the rise, and it's been the Real Madrid team that have been winning the Champions League. Spain have been getting slapped in tournaments. I mean, was it Costa Rica, Netherlands, Russia, Italy? They've been getting demolished. So they need to start giving credit to these Barca boys. I mean, they took them all over the top.
So if you had to pick one most important player, Xavi, Iniesta, Villa.
I don't know. It's between Xavi and Puyol because since Puyol retired, their defense collapsed. It collapsed, bro. Like from 2014 onwards, they just haven't been the same defensively.
Puyol, I don't think Puyol was on the 2012 squad though.
Yeah, but it's still though.
At all. He didn't. He was not even in
that. And as for opponents, if we're going to be 100% honest, you're right. In 2002, 2000s, Italy was good. Other teams were good, but these teams that you talk about, Italy, and the rest of the teams, most top teams, they rarely face each other. We're going to keep it, even if they could be like at the same level or like two golden generations. I mean, Italy and Brazil, they never played each other. So I mean, can you just count that and say, they didn't face them?
Thanks to
as for
no. But one thing that's why I used the example of France 2000. France faced a golden generation Portugal in the semi, and they faced pretty much the core of that Italy team that was amazing in 2002.
No, but I don't think Portugal is that much better than Netherlands 2010.
How good was that 2010 Netherlands team? Now, if you say
They could have won it. If it wasn't for Casillas, they would have won it. And as for, like I said, styles make games. I believe, if I'm going to look at through history, the nation that would have, I feel like the nation that would probably beat the majority of time beat Spain is Brazil.
Oh yeah,
because, listen, a peak Brazil, whether it's 90s, listen, in 1970, these guys, they're the only team in history. People talk about Spain playing out from the back. Listen to this, that they're the only team in history to absolutely demolish every team. And guess what? 0 crosses. Could you imagine a team in history having in 1970? Literally, these guys they crossed the ball 18 times, scored none. The majority of it was just pure passing, and they demolished everyone. They're the only team to without having any crosses, corners, scoring from corners, and nothing. But they still managed to win.
Like the only team that could beat that Spain team is a team that had truly quality.
Yeah, individual talents. I mean, Brazil is sort of like the opposite of Spain, where Spain was the system. Yeah. If Brazil don't have individual players, like individual greats, they always struggle in World Cups. But when they have the individual talent, it's like the magic just comes together.
Was Brazil even fair though? Come on, man! Like all that talent, man. Like there's just all that legends. It's not even fair.
That's what I was saying before. I mean, would you rather have the system or the individual players?
No, but you'd rather have the individual players. Let's say, for example, if you're going for let's say if you're in a nation like Brazil from 1958 to 1970, I mean that whole 11, like the majority of it, like 10 players in that are in basically. I was looking at the list. They're in like the top 50 players of all time. Imagine like one team having that many what was considered to be top 10, top 50. That's insane. I mean, can a system really beat that amount of talent?
Because the thing about football is, yes, it's a team sport. Yes, you need a system and everything, but it's almost like, think of it as playing FIFA or Pro Evo. Like you can have a guy who is passing, all that kind of stuff. But if you have 2 or 3 guys who just give them the ball, give them the ball, and they can just shoot from 40 yards and it's a goal. So the thing with Brazil is that it just takes 2 or 3 guys, and within them, even if we have 20% possession, we can go from point A to point B to point C, goal, boom, in like 5 passes.
Exactly.
The individual talents that we have as what they can do as an individual. So,
and it goes to show because, I think the only team that would be a big concern for Brazil at their peak is Italy, because they're like the total opposite, where they just park the bus. And
they're more system though. Italy is more system.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like in 2006, they were. I mean, I believe France was they're a better team because Zidane was the best player on that field. Until he got a red card, I just felt like France would have won that World Cup. But
yeah, I actually still believe that. I still believe that. All right, Red Devil.
You can't obviously deny 3 in a row, and I actually want to bring on the point that Liverpool fan was making about the idea of going from player to system. That for me is, I think, the big thing that you have to credit this Spain golden generation for. Before they came along, it was about an individual or individuals in quotes trying to carry their team through. And this Spanish team said, well, actually, hang on, it's actually about the team. And we've got to remember, football is a team sport at the end of the day, So the fact that, we were seeing a style of football that was dependent on tactics and all the team working together in sync, bearing in mind, obviously, that some of these players, the Real Madrid players, Barcelona, obviously, there was tension in that respect. The fact that they were able to achieve what they were able to achieve, it was remarkable. And, I know people are saying, oh, they did play that many good teams. I mean, you could say the same thing about when France got to the got their World Cup. Did France really have a challenge on their way to the World Cup? Really? Croatia, maybe in the final.
Belgium?
Yeah.
Uruguay? Didn't they play Uruguay?
Excuse me. I'd like to fill. I'd like to fill in on what he just said about France beating quote unquote easy teams.
Easy, Nippon, easy. Let's Red Devil just round off his points.
I'm not obviously saying that I'm not saying this is walking apart. I'm just saying that you don't. you don't win 3 back-to-back tournaments, Euro, World Cup, and but do your impacts in the World Cup, and you just play just all the teams are like easy and just a walk in the park. Like I think that's a bit disrespectful to what Spain achieved. But for me, the big thing why this generation, I'm not going to say this is the best international team ever. I don't think anyone here is sort of saying that, but I do think that we need to give them the immense credit for the fact that they created a system, they turned football, and I think this is a positive for football because ultimately, certainly, coming from, I'm sure any England fan watching this was so sick and tired of their hopes going into tournaments dependent on an individual player being fit. Oh, Rooney's got to be fit. Or Beckham's got to be fit. Or these individual players have to be fit. And our entire philosophy around a tournament based on whether this individual can play. Not just England, but I'm sure other teams as well. The fact that there was almost an emphasis on actually developing systems and tactics that work, because I think the big thing about the Spain team, and obviously as a United fan, Fergie, Pep, was struggling. He did struggle. Was that teams were afraid to play against this type of system? They didn't know how to respond. They didn't know how to react. It was difficult. They capitulated. And it was only when Germany came along and actually developed what I believe was a superior system, which was the sort of like the high press, put the pressure so that when this possession-based football that Spain were playing, they didn't allow the Spaniards time, that type of football time to develop, because you were putting pressure on those players at the higher end of the field, making them to make mistakes, thereby winning the ball high up in the field, and then going to score a goal. And that really disrupted, that type of possession-dominated football, and it still does to this day. If you look at the way Liverpool play, for example, but you can't take away from the fact that what this Spanish team did, in a sense, did transform the way that we look at modern football now, and you've got to give them immense credit for that.
No, I think that is key, because I think because it's a really good point that Samuel raised, is that they really helped push forward the idea of team and tactics, which is why I said again, like, I can't name you 8 top individual players right now in football because it's about tactics. But whereas if you go to 98 or 99 or 2000 or 2002 or 03, every team had 4 or 5 top players, and you could name 8, 9 really good individuals because it was much more about the individual before. But what Spain did was like, guys were like, wait a minute, let's develop a clearly defined system that everyone buys into. Now, as an individual, you can maybe go through, but the focus on the onus right now is star player, cool, you're gonna be a star player, but you have to now buy into this ethos. But before, in 2000, 02, 03, 94, 98, star player, we build a team around you. We want you to win the game for us. We are dependent on you to win the game for us, for us and everything. And which is so funny. When Zidane did what he did, it would have been perfect if France had won that World Cup, because that would have been the last time we saw a team on the individual. 2010, it was the team. 2014, who was Germany's star? It was the team. France 2018, we talk about Mbappe, but it was really the team. So it's really all now, and maybe I think we'll return back to the individual. I think this was a cycle, but I think if you look at the last 3 World Cups, they have all been won by a team ethos rather than the superstar leading the team through.
But there's not enough good players out there, though. Let's be honest, man.
No. But we're just going through a cycle. It will come. It will come. I think in the next 5-6 years and everything, we will not see more individuals come through. This is just the cycle. This is the team cycle, but it will go back to individuals. That it's how football works, through cycles.
But HH, if you think about it, the best 2 players right now is Messi and Ronaldo, and their team as a team are not good enough to win a World Cup. I mean, unless like back then you had Zidane and he was French. Come on, the French team was stacked. You look at the teams that dominated Europe, the AC Milans of the world and the Inters, and so you look at that team. I mean, come on, they had legends. You look at Brazil. Are we going to speak about Brazil's talent? Come on, like, I don't know.
No. But I do think though that I'm talking 5-6 years into the future. You're going to see that big change. Nippon.
What's up?
Yeah, so Spain's golden generation, would you say that they are definitely one of the best teams of all time? Or do you think they may be slightly
Yeah, I
overrated?
mean, yeah, they are undeniably one of the greatest international teams of all time. I wouldn't go to say the greatest of all time, but yeah, they were definitely one of the best.
And do you think that football should be more about the individual or more about the team, as Spain did? More about team ethos or more about having 2-3 individual stars?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Mm.
I'm gonna be neutral here and say it works either way for me.
No, Nippon, you can't be neutral. You have to pick one. So if you're a manager, are you building a team based on team ethos like what Spain did? Or are you building a team based on superstars and individuals like how Brazil roll?
Probably on how Spain did it.
So you're about
Team spirit.
So you're about team ethos, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, that is all from us here. I hope you have enjoyed this hangout. Please
like the video.
Like the vid, hit the smash that like button, like the vid. So what's it called? Your boy Samuel, you've had some pretty good reviews on the live. I think people are like how you brought in your view. So Samuel made a very healthy debut here on your.
Thank you.
People are really giving you a lot of. So guys, remember, like that vid, subscribe if you're new, and we'll be back here on Sunday talking about Real Madrid's 3-peats. All right, peace out, guys. Peace. Become a Football Hub member and gain access to cool emojis on the live streams and get access to new YouTube content by clicking the join button here. And to view that new content, head over to the YouTube channel homepage and click on the community tab over here.